Phoenix Nights. Chapter 1429. The Golden Crow's sage could no longer maintain his golden crow body after suffering such severe injuries. He returned to his human form. Bang! The Golden Crow's sage sent a palm strike at Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng was already prepared for it. He met the Golden Crow's sage's palm strike head-on. The Golden Crow's sage was sent flying by Lin Feng's palm strike. Blood splattered everywhere. Your avatar is really strange. It has real flesh and blood. What did you use to create this avatar? Lin Feng looked indifferent. He stepped forward and attacked the Golden Crow's sage with his spear. Lin Feng had also formed a blood bond with his avatar. It was the avatar of one of the 9 divine emperors. However, Lin Feng's avatar was not made of flesh and blood. This is because when the avatar breaks through to the deity realm, it can create flesh and blood with the help of divine power. However, it won't have a cultivator's heart or other organs. Their bodies will only be covered with flesh and blood. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King said. I was wondering why he could still attack me after I pierced his heart. He should be dead by now. He doesn't have a heart. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. Boom! He and the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King continued to attack the Golden Crow's sage fiercely. Although the Golden Crow's sage did not have a heart, he would still be injured if his body was injured. There was a bloody hole in his chest. Blood was flowing out, causing the Golden Crow's sage's blood to flow rapidly. The Golden Crow's sage's combat power was also decreasing. On the other hand, Lin Feng and the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King were getting stronger. Lin Feng said, Since flesh and blood can be created, why can't it create a heart and other organs? It can become a real cultivator. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King said, It's not impossible. The Golden Crow's sage's avatar is only at the Void God realm. Void God realm avatars can create flesh and blood. Clones of the Divine Fire realm can produce hearts and other internal organs. True God realm avatars will undergo a major transformation. The materials used to create the avatar will completely merge with the body and gradually transform into flesh, bones, marrow, meridians, and so on. When the time comes, you'll be exactly the same as a cultivator. You'll even have the ability to create your own blood. You'll become a new life form. Even if your original body is killed, you can use your clone to come back to life. You won't be rejected by the body if you use your clone to come back to life. Haha. It seems like your clone is very important to Sage Golden Crow. It's already an empty god, so it can become a godly fire cultivator, and then a true god, one step at a time. But Sage Golden Crow, your plan is doomed to fail. Your clone will no longer belong to you. As Golden Crow's sage's avatar, the Golden Crow's sage's avatar. The Golden Dragon divine flames burned fiercely and enveloped the Golden Crow's sage. Heavenly fire! The Heavenly Wolf King. Roar! The heavenly fire in the sky turned into a golden dragon. Lin Feng stood on the golden dragon and charged towards the Golden Crow's sage. Look, it's the Golden Dragon Heavenly Dragon King. Rumor has it that some time ago, someone found it in the depths of the Tianyun mountain range. Many strong cultivators went there, but most of them died tragically. Only a few managed to escape. It seems like the rumor isn't true. The Golden Dragon Heavenly Dragon King has been refined by someone. Who is that young cultivator? He's so strong. He can even refine the Golden Dragon Heavenly Dragon King. He's not even a god, but he has the strength to fight against a god. That's incredible. Many people started to talk about it. Everyone was trying to guess Lin Feng's identity. However, they were confused. They didn't know where Lin Feng came from. They didn't know what kind of background Lin Feng had. Heavenly Wolf Transformation! The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King roared, his roar shaking the mountains and rivers. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King actually grew another 3 heads, turning into a 3-headed Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf. The Heavenly Wolf King transformed into a Heavenly Wolf King. Its battle prowess increased tremendously. Lin Feng used the Heavenly Fire and the transformed Heavenly Wolf King to suppress the Golden Crow's sage. The Golden Crow's sage's injuries were getting more and more serious. Its battle prowess was greatly reduced. "I'll fight you to the death!" the Golden Crow's sage roared. He knew that he was in danger. Therefore, the Golden Crow's sage started to fight as well. Within the Golden Crow's sage's body, streaks of God's origin started to burn. As the divine origin in his body burned, the Golden Crow's sage's aura became stronger and stronger. Boom! The Golden Crow's sage soared into the sky and turned into a blazing sun. That scorching sun was descending from the sky and moving towards Lin Feng and the moon-howling wolf. It was as if the heavenly sun had descended from the 9 heavens. This was the Golden Crow's sage's supreme technique. It could turn into a blazing sun and suppress the world. In the legends, the Golden Crow could turn into a sun. He shot down the sun and killed 9 golden crows that had turned into suns. Now that the Golden Crow's sage had turned into a sun, Lin Feng felt pressured. "Heavenly Wolf King, control the treasure with me and smash it to death!" Lin Feng took out the 4 ferocious cauldron. The 4 ferocious cauldron's destructive power was terrifying. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Feng and the Heavenly Wolf King entered the 4 ferocious cauldron. Then, the 2 of them controlled the 4 ferocious cauldron and smashed it against the heavenly sun. The 4 ferocious cauldron kept getting bigger and bigger in the air. Soon, it became as big as a mountain. Bang! The 4 ferocious cauldron and the heavenly sun collided. Waves of destructive power spread out. The destructive power spread out in all directions. The void cracked, the ground caved in, and the mountains collapsed. It really looked like the end of the world. The surrounding cultivators were so scared that their faces turned pale. They quickly ran away, afraid that they would be devoured by the shockwaves of the battle. If that happened, they would die. After 64 consecutive collisions, the Golden Crow's sage couldn't hold on anymore. He turned into his original body again. In the collision with the 4 ferocious cauldron, his physical body cracked and his injuries became more serious. On the other hand, Lin Feng and the Heavenly Wolf King didn't suffer any injuries. Because the 4 ferocious cauldron blocked all the attacks. It dissolved the power of the Golden Crow's sage's sun. Lin Feng and the Heavenly Wolf King rushed out. Lin Feng used the small soul avatar to attack the Golden Crow's sage's soul. As for the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King, he used a soul ability called the Heavenly Wolf God's Slaying Art. 3 small silver wolves flew out from the moon-howling Heavenly Wolf King's head. They were formed by the power of the soul. 2 types of soul attack instantly rushed into the mind of the Golden Crow's sage. "Ah!" the Golden Crow's sage screamed. His soul was severely injured. In the end, the Golden Crow's sage's soul was killed by Lin Feng and the Heavenly Wolf King. "Taoist Heavenly Wolf, if you're not interested in this avatar, I'll take it," Lin Feng said. The Heavenly Wolf King nodded. He tore open the void and left quickly. Lin Feng kept the Golden Crow's sage's avatar. He didn't stop and flew into the distance. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. "It's dead." The Golden Crow's sage's avatar was killed just like that. After Lin Feng left, countless cultivators discussed the matter. Everyone knew that a violent storm was about to sweep across the banished world after the Golden Crow's sage's external incarnation was slain. At that time, it would definitely cause a storm of blood. Lin Feng found a deep abyss and created a cave there, then sealed it. After sealing it, Lin Feng took out the Golden Crow's sage's avatar. Lin Feng wanted to refine this avatar. This was a godly state avatar. If Lin Feng successfully refined it, it would be equivalent to having another god-level avatar. Chapter 1430. Now that the Golden Crow's sage's external incarnation was in tatters, Lin Feng took out many precious materials to repair it. The strength of the external incarnation was still there. After repairing it, Lin Feng used his divine thought to invade the body of the external incarnation. As the heart moves, heaven and earth become one. Lin Feng's divine thought moved slightly. In an instant, the appearance of the external incarnation began to change. Finally, it turned into Lin Feng's appearance. This external incarnation was very peculiar. Whoever refined it would take on the appearance of that person. Ha. This external incarnation is at level 3 empty God realm. Not bad, not bad. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He was very satisfied with the external incarnation. Lin Feng's divine thought moved and the external incarnation entered Lin Feng's elixir sea. It was extremely difficult to refine the external incarnation to the God realm. Lin Feng didn't know how long it would take to refine the 9 Emperor's avatars to the God realm. However, now that he had a God realm external incarnation, Lin Feng was more confident. Even if he met some high-level gods, Lin Feng believed that with the help of the external incarnation, he would be able to fight them. Lin Feng flew out of the great sun plains. When he passed by a mountain range, Lin Feng saw a man in a silver-white robe standing in a valley. There was a lone grave in the valley. Isn't that the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King? Lin Feng was surprised. Although the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King hadn't turned into a human, Lin Feng had remembered the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King's aura. Therefore, Lin Feng could recognize the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King in his human form. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King saw Lin Feng. However, he immediately retracted his gaze and stood quietly in front of the grave. Lin Feng flew over and saw that there weren't any words on the grave. He didn't know who was buried inside. One must always look forward in life, Lin Feng said. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King said, even if we look forward, there are still some things that are unforgettable. Lin Feng nodded and said, then you should live a better life and not let those who have passed away feel sad. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King asked, are you willing to listen to a story? I would like to hear the details, Lin Feng said. The Moonhowling Heavenly Wolf King paused for a moment before replying. A long time ago, there was a youth from the demon race who knew the art of transformation. He transformed into a human and went out to train. While he was training, he met a girl from the human race. She was a very cute girl, and many times she liked to repeatedly lament that life was as lonely as snow. She didn't seem to care about anything, but the youth from the demon race knew that this girl, who always talked about life as lonely as snow, had a kind and pure heart. They traveled together. They went to many places together. Once, a secret territory opened, and the youth from the demon race entered. He stole a treasure, but was seen by a few people. Those people wanted to kill him for the treasure, so they chased after him. The youth from the demon race was sent to a death devil cave, and those people left. When the girl heard about it, she went to find them for revenge. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King stopped speaking at this point. Lin Feng said, that youth from the demon race was you, and the girl died at the hands of those people in order to avenge you. Perhaps this grave is an empty one? The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King asked. Do you have any wine? Lin Feng took out 2 jugs of wine, handing one to the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King and the other to himself. The 2 of them uncorked the jugs and started gulping down the wine. Lin Feng said, the Golden Crow's sage should be one of those people who killed the girl, right? The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King said, yes, but he's still alive and well even after so many years. I'm very curious. That person's cultivation level is so high, but why didn't he come to the Great Sun Plains to kill you? Lin Feng asked. He's afraid. The Great Sun Plains has a curse, so his true body doesn't dare to come. At most, he sent a clone. The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King said. Lin Feng's heart trembled. A curse. That was an extremely terrifying power. Lin Feng thought of the Fire Crow. He also thought of the cursed Heavenly Master clan. What exactly is the power of a curse? Lin Feng asked. It's a formless power that's searching for godly experts. Any godly expert who enters this place will be enslaved, the Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King said. Lin Feng was shocked. Then aren't you enslaved by the curse as well? The Moonhowl Heavenly Wolf King didn't reply to Lin Feng. He continued gulping down wine. Lin Feng didn't ask further. After leaving the Great Sun Plains, Lin Feng headed to Sunset City. He planned to visit Zhou Shijun and see Little Yao Yao. After that, he would return to Blackrock City. Sunset City was as bustling as ever. When Lin Feng arrived at Little Yao Yao's shop, he found that the shop's door was tightly shut. he asked the shopkeeper of the shop next door where Zhou Shijun had gone. The shopkeeper said, "Little brother, how come you haven't heard about such an important matter? Something happened to Zhou Shijun's family. The shopkeeper and his employees are all dead. Zhou Shijun and little Yao Yao have disappeared without a trace." The shopkeeper's knowledge was limited, so Lin Feng wasn't able to gather much information. In this vast sea of people, it was naturally not easy to find Zhou Shijun and little Yao Yao. However, Lin Feng didn't want to give up on the search. He went to the Mercenary Association and spent a large sum of money to get them to investigate Zhou Shijun and little Yao Yao's whereabouts. He then told them to send someone to Black Rock City in the Tianzhou region to look for him. After that, Lin Feng left Sunset City and headed to the Tianzhou region. In the southern wasteland region, a one-armed cultivator was carrying a 4 or 5-year-old girl as they flew toward the famous Southern Wasteland Lake. The Southern Wasteland Lake spanned 350 million miles. It was the largest lake in the exiled world. "Uncle, where are we going?" little Yao Yao asked. "The Emperor cultivated here for a period of time. Perhaps we can go there and hide for a while," Zhou Shijun said. Little Yao Yao nodded solemnly. Suddenly, the void split open. A dense group of black-clothed people appeared. "Oh no!" Zhou Shijun's expression changed drastically. He turned around and fled. However, black-clothed people appeared from all directions. More than 1,000 black-clothed people surrounded Zhou Shijun and little Yao Yao. "Zhou Shijun! You're really something. You actually made us send so many people to look for you. This place has been sealed by a great formation. Even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, you won't be able to escape." One of the black-clothed people laughed viciously. "Attack!" another black-clothed person said coldly. "Kill!" Shouts shook the sky as the dense group of black-clothed people charged toward Zhou Shijun. "I'll kill you!" Zhou Shijun gritted his teeth and charged toward the black-clothed people with his sword. The disparity in strength was too great. Zhou Shijun could only last 10 rounds. One of the black-clothed people rushed forward and cut off Zhou Shijun's head with his sword. "Uncle, uncle!" Little Yao Yao began to cry loudly. The black-clothed person's head grabbed little Yao Yao's neck and held her in his hand. He tore open the void and left the place. The dense group of black-clothed people followed closely behind and left the place. Zhou Shijun's body fell into the lake. The smell of blood attracted the fierce beasts in the lake. Zhou Shijun's head and body were swallowed by a fierce beast in the lake. The fierce beast then dived into the depths of the lake. The boundless southern wasteland lake became incomparably calm again. It was as if nothing had happened here. Chapter 1431. The atmosphere in Blackstone City was rather tense, mainly because the conflict between the 3 great clans, the 5 great sects, and the city lord Pingmosu had been completely exposed. Both sides had even shed all pretenses of cordiality. The 8 great powers had been tricked by Pingmosu, and their higher-ups had almost died in the Skyfall mountain range. If Chu Tianba and the others hadn't returned in time, the 8 great powers might have been controlled by Pingmosu. However, Pingmosu had the backing of the Tianzhou region's domain lord, Heavenly Emperor Jun. In addition, there was an exceptionally tyrannical old servant by his side, so Pingmosu had nothing to fear. However, Blackstone City was still within the sphere of influence of the 3 great clans and 5 great sections. The 8 great powers had joined forces and besieged the city lord's mansion in one night, driving Pingmosu out. It was said that Pingmosu had already gone to the surrounding ancient cities to borrow troops, swearing to uproot the 3 great clans and 5 great sects in Blackstone City. Once the war started, it would definitely cause great suffering, and countless innocent people in Blackstone City would definitely be affected by the war. When the time came, blood would flow like rivers. Because of this matter, everyone in Blackstone City was in a state of panic. At this time, Lin Feng had returned to Blackstone City. Upon hearing the news of Lin Feng's return, the 3 great clans and 5 great sects higher-ups seemed to have found their backbone, and all of them came to visit Lin Feng to seek countermeasures. Lin Feng wasn't very familiar with the structure of the Tianzhou region, so he asked, As the Tianzhou region's domain lord, does that mean that Heavenly Emperor Jun has complete control over all the territories in the Tianzhou region? Chugo said. That's not the case. The Tianzhou region has one domain lord, but there are also 5 deputy domain lords. These 5 deputy domain lords come from the 5 great powers, and these 5 great powers are also deeply rooted and abnormally strong. Moreover, it is said that these 5 great powers have self-sealing stones, and within these stones are experts who are sleeping. Therefore, even Heavenly Emperor Jun wouldn't easily fall out with these 5 great powers. Lin Feng said. It seems that these 5 deputy domain lords have a lot of power. Xin Shizhong nodded and said. That's right. These 5 deputy region masters are also very powerful. In fact, in the 12 regions there are some top forces in each region. Although the region masters are supreme, the region masters do not dare to underestimate these top forces. Lin Feng smiled and said, Since Heavenly Emperor Jun is also restricted by the 5 deputy region lords, I have thought of a way to deal with Ping Mosu. Fellow Taoist Lin, do you have any ideas? The 3 patriarchs and the 5 sect masters all looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, Send people to spread the news that Peng Mosu colluded with Jin Wushu of the Great Sun region and ambushed everyone in the Tianai mountain range. At that time, it will be difficult for him to defend himself. The disciplinary hall of Tianzhou City will definitely investigate this matter. At that time, Peng Mosu will be too busy to take care of himself, so he will definitely rush back to Tianzhou City to deal with this matter. That way, this battle can be avoided, and at the same time, we can also avoid the tragedy of millions of corpses. When the time comes, send people to investigate this matter as well. As long as Peng Mosu is convicted, he will never be able to make a comeback in the future. If we do this, we can indeed avoid a huge battle, and at the same time, we can also deal a huge blow to Peng Mosu. But Peng Mosu is a subordinate of the region master, Heavenly Emperor Jun. If we do this, I'm afraid that we will offend the region master, Heavenly Emperor Jun. Tai Xianzhenren said worriedly. Lin Feng said, I know what you're worried about. Aren't you worried that Heavenly Emperor Jun will take revenge on the 3 great clans and the 5 great sects? Actually, you don't have to worry. Everyone's eyes lit up slightly, and they all looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled faintly, and with a wave of his right hand, his God-state avatar flew out. Boom! The God-state avatar emitted a godly aura. The faces of the 3 patriarchs and the 5 sect masters turned pale with fright. This is... The 8 of them all looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, This is my God-state avatar. If I had my own skills, even if Heavenly Emperor Jun comes, I can still fight him. We are willing to serve Young Master as our master, and we swear to follow Young Master to death. The 3 great clan leaders and the 5 great sect leaders looked at each other, then knelt down and kowtowed to Lin Feng. They were all old foxes, and now that Lin Feng had shown his strength, it was obvious that he had his own goals. Lin Feng's goal was also very obvious. He was waiting for them to submit. The 3 great clan leaders and the 5 great sect leaders chose to submit to Lin Feng without much hesitation. They had a better understanding of Lin Feng. Lin Feng was already so terrifying at such a young age, and now he even had a God-state avatar. Lin Feng's rise was unstoppable. Now that they had submitted to Lin Feng, they were the first batch of elders to submit to Lin Feng. In the future, when Lin Feng became a supreme being, they would all become powerful. Their statuses would naturally rise as well. Lin Feng looked at the 3 great clan leaders and the 5 great sect leaders with satisfaction. These people knew how to judge the situation. Lin Feng said, The 3 great clans and the 5 great sects have existed for a long time, so you should have good relations with many of the top factions in the ancient cities, right? Yes, each of our factions has dealings with many other factions, Xin Shizhong said. All right. Very good, said Lin Feng. Go and contact those influential groups secretly. Try to win them over. We will definitely do this well. We won't disappoint you, young master. The 3 great clan leaders and the 5 great sect leaders immediately said. All right. Lin Feng nodded and said, "You can go back. Send someone to spread the news and completely ruin Peng Mosa's reputation. We will take our leave now." The 3 great clan leaders and the 5 great sect leaders left. After they left, Lin Feng went to the courtyard. When he saw the ancient tree that looked like a dragon, his lips curled into a faint smile. Interesting. How many places in the exiled world will be under my rule? Lin Feng muttered to himself. Lin Feng had started to cultivate his own faction in the exiled world. This was only the first step. The next step was to expand his faction and even conquer the world. Lin Feng wasn't doing this for no reason. Lin Feng was expanding his territory because he was about to break through to the God Realm. The Demon Lord had told Lin Feng that God Realm cultivators could absorb the power of faith. The more power of faith one absorbed, the faster one's cultivation would improve. Then, how could he absorb the power of faith? Of course, he had to build a temple. He had to place his own statue in the temple. Then, countless people would go to the temple to worship, pray, and make wishes. This was the power of faith. Once he broke through to the God Realm, he would be able to continuously absorb the power of faith. A long time ago, when Lin Feng had heard the words temple and power of faith from the Demon Lord, he had already started planning to build a temple. But in the past, his cultivation had been too low, and he hadn't been able to conquer the world. He hadn't had his own territory, so naturally, he hadn't been able to build a temple. Now that Lin Feng's strength had increased, it was time to start building a temple. I think the 12 leaders don't know how to absorb the power of faith, so they haven't built their own temples. That's an ability that only the gods of the ancient times could master. However, I've learned how to absorb the power of faith from the Demon Lord. In the future, whenever I go to a place, I'll build a temple. At that time, the power of faith will be continuously produced. My cultivation will increase rapidly. As long as I have enough faith, I might be able to reach the giant God realm and then break through to the great Emperor realm. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but mutter to himself. Chapter 1432. Actually, it would be extremely difficult for Peng Mosa to break through Black Rock City's defenses even if he borrowed troops to attack it. Lin Feng's array was too powerful. Therefore, it was impossible for Black Rock City to be covered in blood and millions of corpses to appear. The reason why Lin Feng helped the 3 patriarchs and 5 sect masters to force Peng Mosa away was because Lin Feng didn't want to expose himself yet. Once this battle erupted, he would definitely be exposed in advance. At that time, Celestial Archjun would be on guard. When Lin Feng expanded his territory, he would encounter great resistance. Therefore, now was not the time to fall out with Celestial Archjun. Lin Feng's plan was to expand his power as soon as possible. When his power expanded to a certain extent, he would no longer have to fear Celestial Archjun. If Lin Feng could control dozens of ancient cities, he would be able to form his own region. At that time, Lin Feng would have already formed the climate. Celestial Archjun wanted to stop Lin Feng's rise, but he couldn't. Lin Feng was no longer doing things based on his own likes and dislikes. Instead, he was doing things for the bigger picture. The 3 great families and 5 great sects began to send people to spread the news that Peng Mosa had colluded with Jin Wushu to kill the experts of the 3 great families and 5 great sects in Black Rock City. This matter immediately caused a huge uproar in the Tianzhou region. Many ancient cities in the Tianzhou region had some tricks up their sleeves. There would even be battles between the ancient cities. However, this was behind closed doors and belonged to their own families. The Great Sun region was another power. Moreover, the relationship between the Great Sun region and the Tianzhou region had always been tense because of the competition for resources. Peng Mosa's collusion with the Great Sun region was extremely vile. There were 12 regions in the Great Exiled World. In fact, these 12 regions were equivalent to 12 incomparably huge empires. The ancient cities within the empires were equivalent to feudal vassals. Peng Mosa's collusion with Jin Wushu of the Great Sun region was equivalent to treason. After this matter spread, things went smoothly beyond everyone's expectations. The 5 deputy region masters were already very dissatisfied with Celestial Archjune constantly stripping them of their power. Now Celestial Archjune's people actually spread the news that he had colluded with Jean Wushu of the Great Sun region to kill the cultivators of Black Rock City. This gave the 5 deputy region masters a chance to counterattack. The 5 deputy region masters grabbed onto this matter and refused to let it go. They wanted to investigate it thoroughly. On the surface, they were targeting Pengmosu, but in reality, they were targeting Heavenly Emperor June. The battle between the upper echelons had always been a way to kill without spilling blood. Any power struggle between the upper echelons of any force would inevitably be accompanied by violent clashes. It was just that this kind of collision was not clear to outsiders. Pengmosu didn't think that the 3 great clans and the 5 great sects would dare to expose this matter. He would be offending the Domain Lord, Heavenly Emperor June. After knowing this, Pengmosu's face was extremely gloomy. Gather the army. I want to flatten Blackrock City. Pengmosu's face was extremely gloomy. Young Lord! News has come from Tianzhou City that the 5 vice leaders are making an issue out of it. We have to go back to Tianzhou City and take care of it. Heishu City's affairs have to be put aside for now. The old servant beside Pengmosu said. Will my father be disappointed in me this time? Pengmosu said with an ugly expression. No, the region ruler has always loved you, young master, the old servant said. Very few people knew that Pengmosu was the son of the Domain Lord, Heavenly Emperor June. The old servant was one of the insiders. This Pengmosu was the illegitimate son of Heavenly Emperor June. Heavenly Emperor June's mother was a cultivator prostitute. The so-called cultivator prostitutes were female cultivators who had a certain level of strength but became prostitutes. There were many such female cultivators because they also needed resources for their cultivation. However, it was too difficult for many rogue cultivators to obtain resources. Selling one's body in exchange for a large amount of money was the easiest way to earn money. Cultivator prostitutes were exactly the same as the women who came out to do that job in society. She was beautiful and came out to do that job. All she did was sleep with men. The money she earned in a year was more than what she earned in decades. Naturally, there were countless beautiful women who fell for the sake of money. Back then, when Heavenly Emperor June was gathering with the other domain lords, he once got drunk and had sex with a cultivator prostitute who was drinking with him. Heavenly Emperor June was quite awesome. He shot that female cultivator prostitute and gave birth to Pengmosu in the end. However, this kind of thing could be said to be a scandal. After all, what kind of woman could Heavenly Emperor June not get? His son was actually born with a cultivator prostitute. If this spread out, he would be ridiculed. Therefore, Pengmosu's identity had never been revealed. When Pengmosu heard the old servant's words, he was slightly relieved. He looked indifferent as he said, Let the people of Blackrock City live for a while longer. Once this matter is resolved, I'll make sure that they die without a grave. Pengmosu did not stay any longer. He directly returned to Sky Continent City with the old servant. Lin Feng's days seemed to have returned to normal. He cultivated every day. Lin Feng had been waiting for the people from the Mercenary Association to find him. He was now more worried about Zhou Shijun and little Yao Yao. However, the Mercenary Association did not have any news about them. This made Lin Feng have a bad premonition. However, he could only wait. The Mercenary Association's information network was very wide. If there was no news about them, it would be even more difficult for others to find out. 10 days later, there was news that Pengmosu was temporarily stripped of all his duties. He was then imprisoned to wait for further investigation by the Law Enforcement Hall. Black Rock City would soon have a new city lord. Now many people were talking about who this new city lord would be. That night, Yunde came to Lin Feng's place. She wore a long white dress that accentuated her tall, charming, and sexy figure. Her beautiful face was full of provocation and temptation. 9 snow-white foxtails swayed back and forth. A woman from the 9-tailed fox clan was full of charm that men would find hard to resist. Why are you here at this time? Lin Feng asked. What? Am I not welcome here? Yunde smiled. Looking at the charming Yunde, Lin Feng suddenly felt a strong desire. In this kind of night, he should find an extremely beautiful woman and enjoy the most exciting and blood-boiling thing between a man and a woman. Lin Feng's right hand wrapped around Yunde's slender waist. Yunde had not expected Lin Feng to be so bold. She struggled a few times, but to no avail. She allowed Lin Feng to embrace her and caress her body. Lin Feng's right hand moved down until it touched Yunde's foxtail. Yunde's body immediately went limp in Lin Feng's arms, and she began to pant. "You can't touch there." Yunde's voice trembled as she spoke. Lin Feng smiled. "Is this a sensitive part of your body?" Yunde's eyes were like silk, and she nodded with a red face. Lin Feng became even more presumptuous, stroking Yunde's foxtail back and forth. Yunde's body began to tremble violently. Her face was flushed red. Yunde was clearly aroused. Lin Feng took Yunde in his arms and walked towards the room. Chapter 1433. The new city lord had finally arrived. The upper echelons of the 3 great clans and 5 great sects went to welcome the new city lord. What surprised everyone was that the new city lord was actually a woman, and a very beautiful one at that. The new city lord was called Wen'an, and she was the eldest daughter of the Wen'an clan. The Wen'an clan was one of the 5 great powers in the Tianzhou region other than the Jun family. Wen'an's father was also one of the 5 deputy region lords. Now Wen'an could be the new city lord of Black Rock City. In a sense, this should be a compromise by Heavenly Emperor Jun, Ancient Rock City. This was one of the ancient cities that Peng Mosu wanted to borrow troops from. Ancient Rock City was also one of the cities closest to Black Rock City. These ancient cities that were closer to each other were usually hostile because of the competition for resources. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why Peng Mosu could borrow troops. However, the news of Peng Mosu colluding with Jin Wushu disrupted Peng Mosu's plan with the upper echelons of Ancient Rock City. In the end, it led to the failure of sending troops. The 12 regions of the Great Exiled World were all ruled by the region lords. However, the various ancient cities in the 12 regions were actually divided. The region lord had the right to send a new city lord, but whether or not the city lord could control the ancient city, or whether or not the city lord's authority would be taken over by the various factions in the ancient city, would depend on the city lord's ability. Even the various region lords could not help with this matter. Many ancient cities had extremely powerful forces, so the region lords could not interfere with the power struggle between the city lords and the ancient city lords. This was because doing so would cause all the ancient city forces to resist. At that time, if they angered everyone, the region lord would probably not be able to continue being the region lord. After all, some of the top forces in the various regions had ways to fight against the gods. Even someone like Heavenly Emperor Jun would be very afraid. If all the ancient cities rebelled against the region lords, it would not be difficult to overthrow the region lords under the leadership of those top forces. Therefore, this was the fundamental reason why the 12 region lords looked at the various ancient cities and ignored them. Cultivation was the most important thing for cultivators. After all, it was different from the secular imperial power. It did not matter if it was a centralized power or an independent regime, as long as these ancient cities offered a large number of tributes every year. No matter what happened in these ancient cities, the 12 region lords would turn a blind eye. The city lord of Ancient Rock City was called Zhuge Ming. This person's identity was not to be underestimated. This was because Zhuge Ming's third uncle was one of the 5 deputy clan lords. However, although Zhuge Ming was the city lord of Ancient Rock City, he could not compete with the 3 great clans. Ancient Rock City Lord was controlled by the 3 clans. And these 3 clans were all subordinate to the region lord was Heavenly Emperor Jun. This was one of the reasons why Peng Mosu was able to borrow soldiers from Ancient Rock City when he wanted to attack Black Rock City. All important orders in Ancient Rock City were negotiated by the 3 patriarchs of Ancient Rock City. Currently, the patriarchs of Ancient Rock City's 3 great clans were gathered together to discuss matters regarding Black Rock City. I heard that the eldest daughter of the Winnan clan has gone to Blackrock City to take up the position of city lord. The 3 clans and 5 sects of Blackrock City even dare to offend the region lord. Lu Li, the patriarch of the Lu family, said. It's still very possible. Zhang clan lord Zhang Tangyu nodded. Li clan lord Li Yutian said. However, I heard another piece of news. It said that the 3 clans and 5 sects have an expert behind them. They're secretly contacting some ancient cities that are on good terms with them. They seem to be trying to convince them to stand on the same side. I don't know how they did it, but 5 or 6 ancient cities higher-ups have already gone to Blackrock City. I think they're going to visit that mysterious expert. Lu Li's expression sank. If that's the case, then Ancient Rock City might be in danger. After all, Ancient Rock City and Black Rock City have never been on good terms. We should report this news. The region lord will definitely make a decision, Zhang Tongyu said. Li Yutian and Lu Li nodded. All right, let's not delay any longer. We'll write a secret letter to report this matter to the region lord. I'm afraid the 3 of you don't have time to write this letter. At that moment, a faint laugh came from the room. In the next moment, a young cultivator walked out of the void. Who are you? The 3 clan lords' expressions sank. Didn't you guess that there's an expert behind Black Rock City? I'm not talented, but I'm. The young man smiled. It was Lin Feng's clone. It's you. The 3 clan lords' expressions suddenly changed. I'll purify all of you. Lin Feng's clone stepped forward in the room and raised his right hand. A powerful purifying power surged out and enveloped the 3 clan lords. A terrifying divine aura emanated from Lin Feng's clone. God realm expert, don't purify us. We're willing to submit. The 3 clan lords' voices trembled. I'm sorry. The order I received was to purify you, not to accept your surrender. Lin Feng's clone smiled indifferently. The purifying power produced by the Great Purification Technique surged into the 3 clan lords' bodies. Soon, the 3 clan lords were purified by Lin Feng's clone. Greetings, Master. The 3 clan lords knelt down and bowed to Lin Feng's clone. Very good. Soon, someone will come to Ancient Rock City to act as the liaison between Ancient Rock City and Black Rock City. Lin Feng's clone said indifferently. Then, he disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng sent his clone out to conquer the ancient cities that he could. If he couldn't, he directly purified the upper echelons of the ancient cities. Lin Feng was probably the only one who was qualified to use such a technique. Because Lin Feng had practiced the Great Purification Technique, a peerless consummate skill. The Great Purification Technique was too overbearing. Once someone was purified, they would be loyal to him. Thus, he didn't need to launch a large-scale war to expand his territory. Lin Feng's territory was expanding rapidly and silently. However, there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. When Lin Feng gained control of the 49 ancient cities, the Domain Lord, Heavenly Emperor Jun, found out about this. When Celestial Emperor Jun found out, he was furious. Celestial Emperor Jun's anger wasn't without reason. There were only 127 ancient cities in the Tianzhou region. As the region lord, Celestial Emperor Jun could get 60% of the wealth that the ancient cities offered every year. The other 5 deputy region lords' clans could get 30%. The other 10% was shared by the other major powers in Tianzhou City. But now, the 49 ancient cities had been silently taken over by someone else. This was almost half of the ancient cities in the Tianzhou region. The amount of wealth that the 49 ancient cities offered every year was astronomical. Celestial Emperor Jun wanted to tear Lin Feng into pieces when he saw the huge wealth that originally belonged to him being taken away. The 5 major powers that didn't deal with Celestial Emperor Jun were also furious because they had also lost a lot of wealth. Celestial Emperor Jun had always been a strong person. He personally went to Black Rock City to kill Lin Feng. Celestial Emperor Jun was very clear that as long as he killed Lin Feng, the huge force that Lin Feng had built would automatically disintegrate. All the ancient cities would still be in his hands. Chapter 1434. When Celestial Emperor June arrived in Blackrock City, he didn't conceal his aura. A terrifying killing intent swept across the area. Celestial Emperor June is here! Countless people in Blackrock City looked at Celestial Emperor June flying over. The defensive barrier of Blackrock City had been activated. Celestial Emperor June stood above Blackrock City and said indifferently, "Lin Feng, you can come out and die now." Lin Feng flew out of the city and stood in the air, looking at Celestial Emperor June. Heavenly Emperor June was surrounded by divine light. He was like a supreme divine king, looking down at the heavens. "Are you the only one who came?" Lin Feng smiled at Celestial Emperor June. "I can kill you alone. Are you ready to die?" Celestial Emperor June looked indifferent. "It's hard to say who will kill who." Lin Feng smiled coldly and waved his hands. Buzz, violent fluctuations spread out as dense array runes intertwined in the void. "Great array!" Celestial Emperor June sneered. "I have done a lot of research on great arrays. Don't you think it's ridiculous for you to display your slight skill in front of me? My deployment spells can't be compared to the deployment spells you've seen," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled indifferently and controlled the great array to attack Celestial Emperor June. The dense runes seemed to have turned into the laws of heaven and earth as they swept towards Celestial Emperor June. "Break!" Celestial Emperor June shouted, trying to tear the runes apart. However, Celestial Emperor June failed. He was shocked. He hadn't expected the runes to be so powerful. Lin Feng released a clone of the godly layer. He was holding the imperial weapon, the 9 demon pictures, at the core of the array. The clone wielded the Great Desolate War Spear and cooperated with the Great Array to attack Celestial Emperor June. The Great Array was activated, and billions of killing lights surged towards Celestial Emperor June. The 9 demon pictures flew out. The clone wielded the Great Desolate War Spear and attacked Celestial Emperor June. Celestial Emperor June's expression sank. He hadn't expected Lin Feng to have so many tricks up his sleeve. Heavenly Emperor June took out a heavenly halberd. He wielded the heavenly halberd and swept it towards the attacks released by the array. But at this time, the Immortal Realm clone had already rushed over with the Great Desolate War Spear. Heavenly Emperor June's expression was indifferent. The Fontian halberd pierced through the void, stabbing towards the Deity Realm avatar. Clang, clang, clang. The 2 supreme treasures collided with each other, creating a clanging sound. After all, the Deity Realm avatar was only at the 3rd heaven of the Void God realm. There was a huge difference between his realm and Heavenly Emperor June's. The God realm avatar was sent flying by Heavenly Emperor June. "I will destroy your Deity Realm clone." Heavenly Emperor June's voice was indifferent. He leaped out, and the halberd shot out endless destructive power towards the Deity Realm clone. The power of this attack was too terrifying, and it was enough to instantly destroy the Godly Realm clone. However, at this moment, the 9 demons' portrait descended from the sky and swept towards Heavenly Emperor June. Imperial armament! Sensing the aura of the 9 fiend diagram, Heavenly Emperor June's expression sank slightly. He had to give up attacking the avatar. Instead, he swept his gaze towards the 9 demons painting that was suppressing him. He had just swept the 9 fiend diagram away. At this moment, Lin Feng controlled the array to condense a real dragon, phoenix, qilin, bian, and other divine beasts to attack Heavenly Emperor June. Heavenly Emperor June was indeed powerful. Under the attacks of the Deity Realm avatar, the 9 fiend diagram, and the array, he was not injured at all. However, after fighting for 6 hours, Heavenly Emperor June did not even see the shadow of Lin Feng's original body. He did not know where Lin Feng had hidden himself. Heavenly Emperor June's expression turned gloomy. Moreover, the long battle had caused him to be exhausted. Heavenly Emperor June felt that it was not a good idea to continue fighting like this. He should temporarily leave the array. At this moment, Lin Feng displayed his burning wrath of the heavens. The 3 heavenly flames were compressed into a 3-colored ball of light. Lin Feng took out the ball of light and threw it towards Heavenly Emperor June before it exploded. Bang! After the explosion of the tricolored fireball, It produced an energy that could destroy heaven and earth. Even the void was blasted apart. Ah! At the center of the explosion, Heavenly Emperor June's roar shook the sky. When the energy dissipated, Heavenly Emperor June appeared. At this moment, Heavenly Emperor June's clothes were torn and his body was drenched in blood. He looked extremely miserable. Heavenly Emperor June could not wait to tear Lin Feng into pieces. However, after being injured, Heavenly Emperor June was worried that Lin Feng would have other tricks up his sleeve. In the end, he chose to retreat. He tore apart the array set up by Lin Feng and quickly left. Even Heavenly Emperor June was injured. Wenren, who was in the city lord's residence, was shocked. She knew clearly how strong Heavenly Emperor June was. Now, Heavenly Emperor June was injured by Lin Feng. This was simply unbelievable. Wenren knew what it meant to have Heavenly Emperor June injured. This meant that the 12 domains of the Great Exiled World would become the 13 domains of the Great Exiled World. The Great Exiled World would have a 13th domain lord. Young Master is invincible! Long live Young Master! The cultivators in Blackstone City let out earth-shattering cheers. The fact that Heavenly Emperor June had escaped after being injured greatly boosted the morale of the cultivators in Blackstone City. Heavenly Emperor June is really powerful. I used all my means and even used a great array, but I only managed to injure him. Although he looks miserable, his injuries are not serious. At most, they are only light injuries. It won't be easy to kill him. Lin Feng frowned. He landed in the ancient city. As soon as he landed, Wenren came to Lin Feng. Lin Feng had interacted with Wenren a few times. She was very wise and thoughtful. Sometimes, Lin Feng couldn't understand what Wenren was thinking. City Lord Wenren, is there something you need from me? Lin Feng looked at Wenren and asked. Maybe we can talk about cooperation, said Lin Feng. Wenren said with a smile. Lin Feng said, Your Wenren clan is Heavenly Emperor June's ally now. They want to fight me together. You can't even protect yourself now. What qualifications do you have to talk about cooperation? Lin Feng gently pinched Wenren's snow-white chin. This woman had a hot body and a beautiful face. Lin Feng did not mind teasing this beautiful woman. Wenren smiled and said, I know you are very ambitious. I think you don't just want Tianzhou, you want other regions as well. You need the support of the strongest forces. Forces like the 3 clans and 5 sects of Blackstone City can't help you much. You need the help of a top force like the Wenren clan. In this world, there are no eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. Besides, we haven't started a war with Young Master yet. Lin Feng gently caressed Wenren's beautiful face and smiled. Is the Wenren clan trustworthy? Of course. Wenren smiled. Lin Feng took his hand back and said, What do you think I should do next? Seize the opportunity to expand my territory? What do you think? To be able to take control of so many cities in such a short time, I think you must have cultivated the legendary Great Purification technique. You must have directly purified the upper echelons of those cities, right? Wenren looked at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes. You're really a smart woman. Lin Feng frowned slightly. That's a good way to expand your influence. If I can think of that, so can the other leaders. They're paying attention to every single move of the Tianzhou region. Besides, they're worried that you'll use the same method to deal with them. If you do that, you'll become the target of public criticism. Have you ever thought about that? Wenren said. Lin Feng said, I feel like you can read my mind. You've thought of everything I've thought of. I even like you a little now. Wenren smiled charmingly. It's my honor to be able to make you like me. Do you have a plan for the next step? Lin Feng said. The Great Purification technique is too overbearing. If I continue to use it like this, it'll be just as you said. The 12 domain lords will probably work together to get rid of me, so I can't continue using the Grand Purification technique. Otherwise, I'll bring disaster upon myself. Actually, I only used the Grand Purification technique before because I wanted to gain a firm foothold in a short period of time. Now that I've gained a firm foothold, there's no need to continue using it. After pausing for a few seconds, Lin Feng continued, the other leaders want to see Tianzhou become chaotic. The more intense the battle between Tian Dijun and I is, the happier they'll be. If both of us get injured, the other leaders will come and take a share of the profits. As long as I don't use the great purification technique to expand my territory, the other leaders won't join hands to kill me. They're all sly old foxes, they'll just watch the show. During this time, I need to accumulate strength and find an opportunity to kill Tian Dijun. Jun Tiandi is a divine fire layer cultivator. It won't be easy to kill him, Wenren Muyue said. I have a way to deal with him, Lin Feng said. Wenren Muyue looked at Lin Feng in a daze. The man in front of her was shrouded in mystery. His calmness and confidence seemed to come from his bones. Wenren Muyue felt that the man in front of her was a mystery. She wanted to know everything about him. Chapter 1435. There was a reason why Lin Feng was so confident in dealing with Celestial Emperor Jun. He had already ordered people to build temples in the various regions under his rule. Lin Feng now controlled 49 ancient cities. Beneath each ancient city, there were many kingdoms. Each city ruled over hundreds or even thousands of countries. How many temples could he build in those countries? Very quickly, the news of Lin Feng building temples in the regions under his rule spread throughout the great exiled world. What? Lin Feng is building a city? He's building temples for himself? Why is he so fond of grandiose achievements? Many territorial lords couldn't help but frown when they heard about this. They were waiting to see Lin Feng and Celestial Emperor Jun fight to the death. They were waiting for Lin Feng and Celestial Emperor Jun to be injured so that they could go to Tianzhou to get a share of the loot. But now, Celestial Emperor Jun had returned to Tianzhou's city. No one knew what he was planning. As for Lin Feng, he was building temples for himself. It seemed like he was no longer interested in fighting Celestial Emperor Jun. Why is this kid so shameless? Temples are built by the people to express their gratitude to the gods. Now, he's building so many temples for himself. Not only is he fond of grandiose achievements, but he's also very good at deceiving people. Now that he's building temples, he'll probably start singing praises and deceiving people to go to the temples to pray for blessings. Many region lords shook their heads. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the region lords to receive new news. Someone brought out a list of praises for Lin Feng and showed it to the region lords. Pangu created heaven and earth, Nuwa created all living beings, the ancient holy emperor created civilization and enlightened the people. Now there's a true cultivator of might and virtue, the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. His surname is Lin, and his name is Feng. He controls the Tao of the heavens and illuminates the world. The true cultivator of might and virtue cares about the people of the world. If the people of the world are troubled by hunger, cold, poverty, pain, illness, or other problems, they can go to the temples and pray sincerely. If they are sincere, there will be miracles. Shameless! How shameless! How could he compare himself to Pangu, Nuwa, and the holy emperors? How could there be such a shameless person in the world? Even I blushed when I saw this. When some of the domain lords saw the announcement praising Lin Feng, they only read a tenth of it before they couldn't bear to continue reading. They all pointed to the sky and scolded Lin Feng for being shameless and shameless. My lord, it seems like Lin Feng doesn't want to continue fighting with Heavenly Emperor Jun. What should we do now? Many subordinates of the territorial lord raised similar questions. Humph! If we don't fight, how can we plunder the resources of the Tianzhou region? We must let them fight to the death and both sides suffer. However, this matter cannot be rushed. Heavenly Emperor Jun is a cautious person by nature. Lin Feng is a person who enjoys grandiose achievements. In my opinion, we can send people to Lin Feng to continue fanning the flames. Doesn't he want to build a temple? Let him expand his territory. That way, he'll be able to build more temples. Some of the domain lords sneered. F***CK. Who wrote this announcement? Fuck, it's so mushy. It's comparing me to Pangu and Nuwa. But it's not bad. Lin Feng braced himself and finished reading the announcement. However, it still felt good to be praised. Young master, the Wen City Lord wishes to see you. The maid came to Lin Feng's residence. Now Lin Feng had moved to a new courtyard. There were many servants and maids there. The most important thing was that he had to deal with a lot of things. There were many people coming and going, so there were a lot of servants. Let her in, said Lin Feng. Let her in, said Lin Feng. After a short while, Wen Muyue came to Lin Feng's residence. She grumbled. Right now, the 49 ancient cities and the kingdoms ruled by the 49 ancient cities are all busy building your divine temples. Many people are saying that you're too ambitious, and rumors are spreading everywhere. I don't understand why you're building so many divine temples. Lin Feng smiled. There's a reason for the temples. Do you know what faith is? Cultivators don't care about faith. They only care about benefits, said Wen Muyue. Yes, you're right. But not all cultivators have no faith. In this world, some people lack faith. It's like they lack motivation to live. Establishing a temple is to establish faith for them, said Lin Feng. Faith? Is that what you mean by faith? Wen Muyue frowned. That's right. Faith in me. Lin Feng's eyes were twinkling. There are 40,000 countries under the control of the 49 cities. There are trillions of people living there. How many of them are cultivators? Not even 1 in 10 million. What does that mean? It means that there are too many ordinary people. The environment in the exile world is so bad that ordinary people can't even eat. Did you know that? Now I'm going to build a temple so that they can have faith. Then, a miracle will descend. Ordinary people will be able to eat, and if they fall ill, there will be people who will treat them. They will have faith in their hearts, and they will have faith to continue living. Do you think I'm trying to be grandiose? I didn't think that you would build a temple for the poor commoners. I've misunderstood you. I apologize, said Lin Feng. Wen Muyue felt embarrassed. She shouldn't have misunderstood Lin Feng's good intentions. Lin Feng smiled. Many people misunderstand me now. When the temples are built and the miracles happen, ordinary people will be able to eat. They won't starve to death or be eaten by ferocious beasts. They'll be able to live in peace and contentment. Then, everyone will understand my good intentions. Wen Muyue nodded. I'm sure everyone will understand you. When the time comes, they'll worship you even more. Lin Feng smiled. I'm not doing this for people to worship me. I'm doing this because I want to do something practical that can truly help ordinary people. After a pause, Lin Feng asked, How are things with your family? Someone will come to see you very soon. Wen Muyue said. All right. Lin Feng nodded. Wen Muyue didn't stay with Lin Feng for long. She bid him farewell and left. In Lin Feng's territory, temples began to be built one after another. Then, statues of gods began to be made for Lin Feng. Coupled with the incessant propaganda and singing praises, many commoners in the secular world swarmed into the temple and began to pray and make wishes. At night, Lin Feng began to circulate the limitless spirit-returning technique he had obtained from the Demon Lord. The supreme and everlasting godly skill could help Lin Feng absorb faith's strength. We pray for the great mighty enlightening true monarch to bless us with good weather this year so that we can have a good harvest. Your Majesty, our town has been attacked by monsters. Many people have been killed. We've been displaced and have become refugees. Many people have starved to death. Please, Your Majesty, show us your spirit and help us kill those monsters. Help us take back our home. Lin Feng circulated the limitless spirit-returning technique 36 times. Suddenly, countless voices resounded in Lin Feng's mind. They were the voices of ordinary people praying in the temples. Chapter 1436. All kinds of miracles began to appear in Lin Feng's territory. The homeless people saw God in their dreams. That God told them that the monsters had been killed. They could return to their towns and cities and rebuild their homes. In their dreams, a god shrouded in golden light told them that when they woke up the next day, they would be able to see food. They would also be able to get a share of the fields. In the future, they would no longer have to endure the cold and hunger. The sick people who were about to die also dreamed of the same god. That god told them that if they slept, they would be fine the next day. When the displaced people returned to their hometowns that had been occupied by the monsters, they found that the monsters had been killed. They could rebuild their hometowns. When the hungry people woke up, they found a large amount of rice and grain piled up in front of their doors. There were also land deeds for farmland. The sick people who were about to die woke up the next day and recovered completely. The appearance of the mighty and virtuous true Lord who saves all beings spread quickly. More and more people went to the temple to offer sacrifices and worship. They made wishes and prayed for blessings. An endless stream of faith energy was produced. The faith energy was absorbed by the godly realm clone. Lin Feng's main body was still at the 6th heavenly layer of the rebirth realm, so he could not absorb the faith energy. However, the godly realm clone was at the 3rd heavenly layer of the nihility god realm, so he could naturally absorb the faith energy. The godly realm clone's cultivation improved very quickly. In just half a month, he broke through from the 3rd heavenly layer of the nihility god realm to the 4th heavenly layer of the nihility god realm. It should be known that many gods could cultivate for tens of thousands of years without breaking through a single realm. But now, the godly state clone was able to make a breakthrough in just half a month after absorbing the power of faith. What kind of shocking cultivation speed was this? Faith power really is incredible. No wonder there were so many experts in the Primeval Age. The cultivators of the Primeval Age knew how to absorb faith power, so when they broke through to the godly level, they built temples to absorb faith power. Of course, their cultivation base advanced quickly. But after the chaos of the Primeval Age, millions upon millions of years passed, and the method to absorb faith power was lost. The current gods can't compare to the gods of the Primeval Age in terms of cultivation speed. And it's rare to find a god who can break through to the heavenly god or giant god level. Lin Feng couldn't help thinking. He summoned the 3 patriarchs and the 5 patriarchs of the 3 clans and 5 sections. They were in charge of the manifestation of these miracles. To cultivators, creating miracles was naturally a very simple matter. Reincarnation and a dream could be done with just an illusory realm. As for hunting ferocious beasts, summoning clouds and rain, distributing food, and so on, it was a trivial matter to cultivators. But in the eyes of mortals, these things were miracles. You did a good job. Everyone will be rewarded, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his right hand and 8 bottles of pills flew towards the 3 patriarchs and the 5 patriarchs. This is a godly medicinal pill, it'll be very beneficial for your cultivation, said Lin Feng. What? Godly pills? Thank you, Prince. The 8 patriarchs were overjoyed, and they immediately thanked him profusely. At night, the vixen Yunde came to Lin Feng's place again. Ever since Lin Feng had carried her to his room and done some indescribable things, she hadn't appeared in front of Lin Feng for quite some time. Perhaps it was because she was shy. Although Yunde was a vixen, she was actually very conservative. This could be seen from her expression on the bed that day. Lin Feng hugged Yunde's hot body and asked, "Did you miss me? Hey, hurry up and let go! I came to find you because I have a serious matter to discuss." "Don't touch me." Yunde struggled lightly. "Whatever serious matter it is, we'll talk about it later." Lin Feng smiled wickedly and tore Yunde's clothes to shreds. He then carried her into the hot spring and took a bath together. The feeling was indescribably wonderful. Vixens and humans were different. Perhaps this was the charm of a foreign land. Experts constantly came to join Lin Feng. Some experts suggested that Lin Feng continue expanding his territory. It would be best if he could kill Celestial Emperor Jun in one fell swoop. Lin Feng guessed that the experts who came to join him were probably spies sent by the other region masters. However, he didn't point it out. Lin Feng said perfunctorily that he planned to go into seclusion in a few days and attack Celestial Emperor Jun as soon as he came out. The spies were overjoyed and even congratulated Lin Feng in advance for his successful seclusion. Lin Feng named the territory he ruled the Dragon Gate region. The Dragon Gate region was the 13th region of the exiled world. It ruled over 49 ancient cities. The establishment of the Dragon Gate region caused a huge uproar. Countless people were talking about it. However, what puzzled everyone was that Celestial Emperor Jun didn't do anything. It was as if he had tacitly agreed to the establishment of the Dragon Gate region. On this day, the Mercenary Association sent someone to find Lin Feng. Lin Feng met an elder of the Mercenary Association. After the elder arrived, he found out that the young master who had entrusted the mission to the Mercenary Association was actually the current region master of the Dragon Gate region, Lin Feng. After seeing Lin Feng, the elder of the Mercenary Association hurriedly bowed to Lin Feng. "No need for formalities, sit down and talk," Lin Feng said. "Thank you, Region Master." The elder of the Mercenary Association replied and stood up from the ground, half sitting on the stool. Lin Feng asked, "Is there any news about Zhou Shijun and Little Yao Yao?" "Region Master, our Mercenary Association has indeed found out some secret information. The Mr. Zhou Shijun you mentioned was originally a direct descendant of the Zhou family. However, a few hundred years ago, the Zhou family was massacred overnight. I heard that the Zhou family was related to the Moon Emperor in the primordial era." Lin Feng had heard about the Moon Emperor after coming to the exile world. He raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "Moon Emperor? Such an ancient figure?" The elder of the Mercenary Association nodded and said, "Yes, the Zhou family has a long history, but they gradually declined. The Moon Emperor led the cultivators of the various great powers of the exile world to resist the invasion of the alien world. Although he managed to defeat the alien world's invaders in the end, he was severely injured and died. He had a daughter who wasn't even 2 years old, and she was sealed in stone before the great battle. Before the Moon Emperor died, he entrusted his daughter to the Zhou family." "It's sealed in the stone? Daughter? Could it be Little Yao Yao?" Lin Feng frowned slightly. He calmly asked, "Why was the Zhou family annihilated? Someone wanted to cultivate the God-transforming tree to bear God-transforming fruits, but they needed a powerful bloodline to irrigate the God-transforming tree. An emperor's bloodline would be the best, but even if they didn't have an emperor's bloodline, they needed a quasi-emperor's bloodline. The Moon Emperor's daughter had a quasi-emperor's bloodline. Those people heard that the Moon Emperor's daughter was still sleeping in the stone, so they destroyed the Zhou family in order to capture her and use her blood to cultivate the God-transforming tree." The elder of the Mercenary Association explained. "What? There's such a thing?" Lin Feng suddenly stood up, his expression extremely ugly. He was now guessing that Little Yao Yao was most likely the Moon Emperor's daughter. Otherwise, those people wouldn't have chased after Zhou Shijun until now. It was obvious that they hadn't been able to find the Moon Emperor's daughter when the Zhou family was annihilated, so they had been searching for Zhou Shijun's whereabouts. And now, Little Yao Yao was very likely to have been captured by those people. Didn't that mean that those people were using Little Yao Yao's blood to cultivate the God-transforming tree? When he thought of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel waves of killing intent rise in his heart. Chapter 1437. "Area Leader, are you alright?" Seeing Lin Feng's ugly expression, the Mercenary Association's elder asked in a low voice. Lin Feng took a deep breath and said, "I'm fine. So, do you have any accurate information now?" The Mercenary Association's elder said, "We heard that there's an auction in the ancient city of Chaos in the Chaos region. A God transformation fruit will be auctioned there. But we don't know if the fruit was grown with the blood of the Moon Emperor's daughter." Lin Feng continued asking, "Who are these people you're talking about? What kind of power are they?" "They're called the Divine Dark Tower. It's a terrifying power. Even the other 12 area leaders are afraid of them," the Mercenary Association's elder said. When he mentioned the Divine Dark Tower, the Mercenary Association's elder's face showed a trace of fear. Even though he was talking about the Divine Dark Tower behind their backs, he was still terrified. It was obvious. Just how powerful and terrifying was this divine tower of darkness? Do you know where the divine dark tower is? Lin Feng asked. I'm not sure, but it's said that the headquarters of the divine tower of darkness is most likely in the Chaos region, because the Chaos region is the most chaotic place in the entire world of exiles. There are countless evil people there, and all kinds of influential groups there. It's the easiest place to hide, the Mercenary Association's elder said. Lin Feng nodded and said, All right, thank you for telling me. You're too polite, area leader. It's part of my job. The Mercenary Association's elder hurriedly said. Tianba, come in for a moment. Lin Feng shouted. Chu Tianba walked in. Lin Feng said, Prepare a place for him to rest and give him some money. Yes, master. Chu Tianba nodded in agreement. Then I'll take my leave. The Mercenary Association's elder cupped his fists and left. After the Mercenary Association's elder left, Lin Feng paced back and forth in the main hall. Little Yao Yao's cute appearance couldn't help but appear in Lin Feng's mind. The little girl clutched the corner of his clothes and didn't say a word. She looked at him anxiously and didn't want him to leave. But now, she had been captured by the Divine Dark Tower. Her blood had been used by the Divine Dark Tower to irrigate the Divine Transformation Tree and nurture the Divine Transformation Fruit. Thinking of this, Lin Feng felt extremely pained. How could these people be so deranged? Not even letting go of a little girl who was not even 5 years old? Since those people want to use Yao Yao's blood to grow the Huashan tree, I don't think they'll kill her directly. They'll only use a part of her blood each time, and then wait for her to recover. I have to go to the region of chaos to find Yao Yao. I have to find her. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. The Dragon Gate region could not be without a ruler. Therefore, Lin Feng did not tell everyone that he would be leaving the Dragon Gate region for the time being. He told the outside world that he was going into seclusion for a period of time. At the same time, he sealed the room where he was going into seclusion. Nobody was allowed to enter. If anyone tried to barge in, they would be attacked by the deployment spell. At the same time, Lin Feng told Xu Tianba to stay outside and prevent anyone from entering his seclusion room. That night, Lin Feng left without making any sound. Not long after Lin Feng left, someone came to see Celestial Emperor Jun in the Celestial Emperor Palace of Tianzhou City. It was Wang Tianyi, a Taoist priest of the Celestial Mysteries sect. He was the one who had deduced the location of the magic lotus. Taoist priest Wang, what brings you here? Asked Celestial Emperor Jun when he saw Wang Tianyi. My master wants to see you, said Wang Tianyi. Celestial Emperor Jun was startled and said, Your master? Since when did you rely on someone else? He. Since when did I rely on you? You don't need to worry about me. I came here today because I want to cooperate with you to kill someone. A sinister voice was heard. Then, the magic lotus flew out of Wang Tianyi's body. So it's the magic lotus, a sacred item of the celestial demon clan. You're just a remnant soul residing in the magic lotus. You think you're qualified to cooperate with me? I'll kill you today, and the magic lotus will be mine. Celestial Emperor Jun sneered and slapped the magic lotus. The magic lotus spun in the air and collided with Celestial Emperor Jun's attack. Both sides were evenly matched. Ha! Celestial Emperor Jun frowned. Ha ha! The outside world is saying that my cultivation has fallen and that there's nothing to be afraid of, right? Mose Tianzuan laughed loudly. My luck is really good. After escaping from the Great Sun Plains, I found an ancient tomb and found a large amount of divine pills left behind by a god. After consuming them, I recovered a lot of my strength. Now I'm going to take revenge on those who attacked me. This Wang Tianyi is the first person I'm going to take revenge on. He's already been refined into a voodoo doll and is now a walking corpse. He can only listen to my orders. Refined into a voodoo doll and can never reincarnate. It's a fate worse than death. You're really vicious. Celestial Emperor Jun narrowed his eyes and looked at Mose Tianzuan. We're the same. You're not a good person either, said Mose Tianzuan. How about we join forces and get rid of Lin Feng? Heh. Join forces with you? I've heard about what happened in the Great Sun Plains. The Golden Crow's sage joined forces with you but was tricked by you. His clone, which he painstakingly refined for hundreds of thousands of years, was killed because of you. Do you think I'll believe you? Celestial Emperor June couldn't help but sneer. The situation was different back then. At that time, even if I joined forces with the Golden Crow's sage, I still wouldn't be a match for Lin Feng and the Howling Moon Wolf King. Naturally, I had to find a way to escape. Now it's different. My cultivation has increased. If we join forces, we can definitely kill Lin Feng. Mose Tianzun said. Lin Feng is hiding in Blackrock City. He's an expert in formations. How can we kill him? Celestial Emperor June frowned and said. Celestial Emperor June had obviously agreed to join forces with Mose Tianzun to kill Lin Feng. He's already left Blackrock City. Mose Tianzun said. Oh? Left Blackrock City? How do you know? Even the people I've planted in Blackrock City haven't heard about that. Celestial Emperor June frowned. That little boy stole my 9 Demons painting. It's a precious treasure of the Tianmo clan. Even though it's been stolen, I can still sense the chi of the 9 Demons painting. Therefore, I can tell you for sure that little boy has already left Blackrock City. This is a good opportunity to kill him. Mose Tianzun said. If it's really as you say, then that little boy is committing suicide by leaving Blackrock City. Celestial Emperor June's eyes were filled with killing intent. There's no time to lose. Let's go and kill him. Mose Tianzun said. Alright, this time, we'll definitely kill Lin Feng. Celestial Emperor June's eyes were filled with killing intent. The magic lotus tore open space and Mose Tianzun, Celestial Emperor June, and Wang Tianyi entered the magic lotus. Then, the magic lotus tore open space and left quickly. The empty palace regained its calm. Chapter 1438. The chaotic field was much more chaotic than Lin Feng had imagined. When he arrived at the chaotic field, he discovered that there were murders and robberies everywhere. If he wasn't careful, he could be killed by someone. The chaotic field was a place where evil gathered. Thieves and demons ran rampant. Most importantly, there were many so-called righteous people in the chaotic field who could turn into murderous demons in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng was resting in a small town. At the same time, he was inquiring about the way to the ancient city of chaos. The ancient city of chaos was a place where countless evil people gathered. Many famous villains wanted by the outside world were hiding in the ancient city of chaos. There was a rule in the banished world. No matter what kind of heinous crimes one committed outside, as long as one could enter the ancient city of chaos, they would be protected. If one dared to chase after someone, they would suffer the wrath of the ancient city of chaos. The divine transformation fruit will be auctioned in a month. Right now, more and more experts are going to the chaotic field to bid for the divine transformation fruit. The divine Tower of Darkness is actually willing to take out the divine transformation fruit. I don't know what they are planning. I heard that the divine Tower of Darkness cultivated 3 divine transformation fruits this time. One of them was stolen. I'm guessing that this divine transformation fruit is very likely the one that was stolen. Lin Feng was eating in a restaurant when he heard some cultivators talking. He was very surprised. Someone was actually able to steal the divine transformation fruit from the mysterious divine Tower of Darkness. Who was it? If it was someone from the divine Tower of Darkness who stole it, it wouldn't be too difficult. But if it was an outsider, then this person wasn't simple at all. No matter what the reason is, the divine Tower of Darkness will definitely appear in the divine Tower of Darkness. And the person who auctioned the divine transformation fruit will definitely appear in the ancient city of chaos. At that time, I just need to catch one of them and I'll know the location of the divine Tower of Darkness. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. After eating, Lin Feng inquired about the route to the ancient city of chaos. After asking around, he found out that if he wanted to go to the ancient city of chaos, he would have to pass through the poisonous forest. And in the poisonous forest, vicious beasts ran rampant. Furthermore, there were all kinds of poisonous creatures in the area. Entering the area was simply a matter of 9 chances of survival. The most terrifying thing was that within the poison fog forest, there was an extremely terrifying power called the Poison Rose Mercenary Group. No one knew the name of the leader of the Poison Rose Mercenary Group, but everyone called her Poison Rose. It was said that the woman was so beautiful that she didn't seem to belong to the mortal world, but she was ruthless and vicious. She killed without blinking. Therefore, the most frightening thing when passing through the poison fog forest was not encountering attacks from ferocious beasts or poisonous creatures. Instead, he encountered the Poison Rose. If one wanted to pass through the dangerous poison fog forest, they would usually take a flying ship. Spaceships had strong defensive capabilities, and the owners of the spaceships were familiar with the routes. Of course, one could choose to pass through the poison fog forest on their own. However, the poison fog forest was filled with danger. There was poisonous gas everywhere, and many places had formed natural illusion arrays. It was very easy to get lost after entering. Therefore, most cultivators chose to travel through the poison fog forest by flying ships. The safety factor was also higher. After resting for a night in the town, Lin Feng went to the town square the next day. There were many spaceships parked there. Each flying ship could hold about 10,000 cultivators. The cost of riding the spaceships was not cheap. Each person had to pay 1,000 gold coins. After paying 1,000 gold coins, Lin Feng entered the spaceship. At this time, a female cultivator asked Lin Feng if he needed a private room. There were different private rooms, and different private rooms had different fees. The price of a private room also ranged from a few thousand gold coins to a few 100,000 gold coins. Lin Feng spent 10,000 gold coins to book a medium-sized private room. This private room was about 10 square meters in size. There was a bed, a praying mat, a table, and some fruits, snacks, and tea. After entering the private room, Lin Feng closed his eyes to rest. The spaceship quickly took off and entered the poison fog forest 2 days later. While the spaceship was flying through the poison fog forest, one could hear the roars of beasts from time to time. On the 3rd day, the spaceship was attacked by ferocious beasts. It was a dense pack of 4-winged wolf bats. These bats were about 1.5 meters long. They had the head of a wolf, the body of a bat, and sharp claws. The overwhelming number of 4-winged wolf bats began to attack the spaceship. "Ignite the firestone cannons!" The captain of the spaceship gave the order. The firestone was a very special type of stone. Its temperature was extremely high. Once it came into contact with the air, it would explode, causing an extremely strong killing power. This firestone cannon was rather similar to the spirit stone cannon in the Sky Martial continent. Boom! Boom! The firestone cannon shot out a dense number of firestones. The firestones exploded in the group of 4-winged wolf bats. In an instant, many of the 4-winged wolf bats were blasted into pieces. A large number of 4-winged wolf bats fell from the sky. Not long later, the 4-winged wolf bats were all dead. The rest of the 4-winged wolf bats let out unresigned roars, but they did not dare to continue attacking the spaceship. In the end, the group of 4-winged wolf bats flew far away. The spaceship increased its speed and flew deeper into the forest. But after flying for a few miles, a 3,000-meter-tall mountain suddenly turned into a stone giant. The stone giant let out an earth-shattering roar. In the stone giant's hand, there was a gigantic stone axe. The stone giant smashed the axe towards the spaceship. Clang! The power of the axe was too great. The spaceship was directly split open from the middle. Many cultivators did not even have time to react before they were smashed into meat paste. "Abandoned ship!" the captain shouted with a gloomy expression. The surviving cultivators quickly flew out of the cabin. More than 3,000 of the 10,000 cultivators had just died, and there were still more than 6,000 left. Many of them did not show any fear when they saw the stone giant. Instead, their faces were filled with ferocity. It's a stone golem that has become a spirit! Attack together, kill it, and snatch the stone golem's source! Many cultivators roared as they charged towards the stone giant. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. As expected of the Chaos Domain, the cultivators here were much more valiant than the cultivators from other domains. Thousands of cultivators charged towards the stone giant. A huge battle broke out, and the stone giant killed 400 to 500 cultivators. However, there were many cultivators, and under their combined efforts, the stone giant's soul was killed. The stone giant's huge body began to collapse, turning into a pile of rubble. The stone giant's source was floating in the air. Who dares to snatch it from me? I'll take your life! Many cultivators shouted as they rushed towards the source energy left behind by the stone giant. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, at that moment, a dense rain of arrows shot out from the forest. The arrows were even denser than the rain during a heavy downpour. Moreover, those arrows were magical arrows and were extremely powerful. Moreover, the arrows were dipped in poison. Plop! Plop! Many cultivators were directly shot to death. Although some cultivators were only injured, because the arrows were dipped in poison, those injured cultivators were quickly poisoned to death. It's the Blood Rose Mercenary Group's Poison Arrow Group. We're surrounded, quickly break out! The captain's face turned pale, and his voice trembled as he shouted in fear. Hearing the name Blood Rose Mercenary Group, many people were so scared that their legs trembled. Lin Feng looked into the distance, and saw an enchanting woman wearing a black veil. She sat on a white bone throne and looked at the thousands of cultivators who were surrounded with interest. Chapter 1439. The Poison Rose? Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. It was rumored that this woman was so beautiful that she didn't belong to the mortal world. Lin Feng didn't know what she looked like. After all, the Poison Rose was wearing a veil, so he couldn't see her face. However, he was sure that she had a very sexy body. Asterisk swoosh swoosh swoosh. Asterisk after the first wave of arrows, the second wave came. Lin Feng had to be careful when facing these poisonous arrows. Although he had the immortal divine body and could recover from any serious injuries, the immortal divine body couldn't do anything. However, the immortal divine body couldn't detoxify the poison. As the arrows rained down, clouds of dark green fog surged out from the forest. It was the poisonous gas released by the Poison Rose Mercenary Group. After seeing the poisonous gas, Lin Feng quickly took out a detoxification pill and ate it. When the dense rain of arrows came, Lin Feng raised a dermic power light shield around his body and blocked all the arrows. However, Lin Feng found that the dermic power light shield couldn't stop the poisonous gas from corroding his body. The poisonous gas penetrated the dermic power light shield. Then, as if it had a life of its own, the poisonous gas drilled into Lin Feng's body. The detoxification pill couldn't detoxify the poison that entered Lin Feng's body. Something's wrong. This poison is too terrifying. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. At that moment, miserable screams came out one after another. The dense crowd of cultivators was poisoned to death by the poisonous gas. Even if they weren't poisoned to death, they were killed by the arrows. I can't stay here for long. If too much of this poison enters my body, it'll be troublesome. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. He soared into the sky and flew away. Many cultivators tried to break out of the encirclement, but they were all killed. Some people saw Lin Feng break out of the encirclement, and a dense rain of arrows shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng waved his hand. Dermic power surged. The arrows that were shot towards him were all destroyed. At this time, all kinds of magic treasures flew out and attacked Lin Feng. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a wave of dizziness in his head. He knew that the poison that had invaded his body before was starting to take effect. Lin Feng hurriedly circulated the heavenly fire to suppress the poison in his body. Under the suppression of the heavenly fire, Lin Feng felt a lot more comfortable. His spirit also recovered a little. Then, he raised his right hand and slapped at the mercenaries in the forest. A huge energy handprint condensed in the void. The energy palm descended from the sky, instantly shattering the numerous magic treasures. "Hurry up and run!" Many mercenaries cried out in fear. However, it was already too late to escape. The energy palm slammed down. Hundreds of mercenaries were smashed into meat paste. After killing hundreds of mercenaries, Lin Feng glanced at the thousands of cultivators who were trapped. He found that everyone was dead. The poison released by these mercenaries was too powerful. Even someone as powerful as Lin Feng was poisoned. Not to mention the other cultivators. In just a dozen breaths of time, the entire army was annihilated. This was the cruelty of the world of cultivators. Lin Feng was already used to it. He quickly rushed into the distance, and instantly rushed out of the encirclement of the Poison Rose mercenary group. Then, Lin Feng began to use the heavenly fire to refine the poison that had invaded his body. "You killed so many of my Poison Rose mercenary group's people. Where do you think you're going?" At this time, the white bone throne quickly flew over. Poison Rose sat on the white bone throne like a high and mighty empress, coldly looking at Lin Feng. "*TCH. I don't have the time to play with you right now. Don't provoke me, otherwise I'll strip you naked and fuck you 100 times. Lin Feng fiercely glanced at Poison Rose's hot body. "There are many people who want to do my Poison Rose, who do you think you are?" Poison Rose coldly snorted. This woman's words were also quite valiant. As soon as Poison Rose finished speaking, she suddenly slapped the white bone throne with her right hand. Suddenly, a grayish-brown gas rushed out of the white bone throne. The grayish-brown gas turned into a huge skull. The skull was more than 1,000 meters tall. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out clouds of poisonous gas. It was a poisonous gas that was as black as ink. Within the poisonous gas, there was actually a poison spirit. The poison spirit let out a low growl. "Poison of all evils! 10,000 evil poison!" The poison spirit roared as it charged towards Lin Feng. "*CK, other than playing with poison, what else can you do? If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one." Lin Feng quickly retreated. Poison Rose snorted. "Since I can poison you to death, why should I fight you? Poison me to death? Are you daydreaming?" Lin Feng disdainfully twitched his mouth. He stepped on the 8 directional worlds, and 8 illusory worlds appeared beneath his feet. He rushed off into the distance at an incredible speed. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Poison Rose was furious. "If I want to kill someone, no one has ever been able to escape. You're no exception." Poison Rose controlled the white bone throne and quickly chased after Lin Feng. After flying for an hour, Lin Feng finally managed to get rid of the poisonous rose. He found a secluded cave and sealed it with a deployment spell. Then, he sat down cross-legged and started to refine the poison in his body. The poison these mercenaries had was too terrifying. If a god was poisoned, he would probably die. Lin Feng used his heavenly fire to refine the poison in his body. A full 6 hours passed. Lin Feng finally managed to refine the poison in his body. He could finally take a deep breath. After coming out of the cave, Lin Feng flew towards the depths of the poison fog forest. Only after passing through the forest could he reach the ancient capital of chaos. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, a dense swarm of insects emerged from the ground. Each insect was about the size of a thumb. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that the insects were actually fiery red ants. Fire ants! Lin Feng sucked in a cold breath. He had only heard of these ants before, but he had never seen them before. Fire ants were the royalty of the ant race. It was said that even heavenly fire couldn't kill them. A fire ant's poison was enough to kill a dragon. In front of him was a dense swarm of fire ants. He didn't know how many there were. Seeing so many fire ants charging at him, Lin Feng was shocked. Without thinking, Lin Feng used his 8 directional worlds to rush into the distance. There were too many fire ants, and it was difficult to deal with them. After shaking off the fire ants, Lin Feng finally let out a long breath. The poison fog forest was truly dangerous. Even he felt a sense of danger. Found that brat! Kill him! Suddenly, a sinister laugh came from the distance. More than 1,000 mercenaries of the Poison Rose mercenary group flew over. These people directly released the dark green poison from before, and at the same time, shot numerous poisonous arrows at Lin Feng. They wanted to take Lin Feng's life. Facing the poison and arrows, Lin Feng waved his right hand, and monstrous magic power swept out. Suddenly, the poison was wrapped up by magic power, and then Lin Feng stored it in a spatial porcelain bottle. He might be able to use it in the future. The poisonous arrows were all broken by Lin Feng's magic power, and then they fell from the sky into the forest. Immediately after, Lin Feng raised his right hand and punched the mercenaries who were surrounding him. More than 1,000 mercenaries of the Poison Rose mercenary group exploded, and they died on the spot. Poison Rose flew over from the distance. Seeing Lin Feng kill so many of her subordinates, she angrily screamed, "You bastard, I will tear you to pieces!" Poison Rose directly released her white bone throne. The white bone throne became half a meter tall, like an ancient mountain, and rushed towards Lin Feng. Chapter 1440. Although the white bone throne was powerful, Lin Feng's cultivation had already reached the level of a god or a devil. Facing the attack of the white bone throne, he was not afraid at all. Lin Feng took out the great desolate war spear. He held the great desolate war spear in his hand and used it as a stick, striking towards the white bone throne. Clang! The sound of a violent collision was suddenly heard. Lin Feng's attack fiercely hit the white bone throne, directly shaking it. He struck 12 times in a row. After 12 strikes, the white bone throne was sent flying by Lin Feng. Humph! Poison Rose could not help but snort coldly, her hands continuously forming seals. Seals after seals were sent into the white bone throne. Then, a grayish-brown fog surged out of the white bone throne, once again condensing into a huge skull. Whoosh! The skull opened its mouth and spat out a deadly poison. Poison Rose wanted to use the same trick again, using poison to deal with Lin Feng. Ha ha ha, Poison Rose, it's useless. Now that I've taken precautions, the poison has no effect on me. Lin Feng laughed, and waved his right hand. Suddenly, a storm swept up in the void. The storm swept all the poison into the distance. Lin Feng followed the storm and instantly rushed in front of Poison Rose, thrusting the great desolate war spear towards her. You actually don't know how to be gentle with a woman! Poison Rose looked as if she was crying, she looked pitiful. Lin Feng suddenly felt his mind go blank. In his mind there seemed to be a voice that was constantly seducing him. Put down the war spear in your hand and admire the beauty of the woman in front of you. The seductive voice reverberated in Lin Feng's mind, making Lin Feng feel like he was sinking. Something's wrong. Lin Feng's willpower was strong enough. Before he sank, he discovered that something was wrong and finally came back to his senses. By then, Poison Rose had already arrived before Lin Feng. A sharp dagger had appeared in her hand. With a light slash of the short blade, it tore through the void. Its power was truly formidable. Now Poison Rose was swinging her dagger at Lin Feng's head. She wanted to cut off Lin Feng's head. The situation could be said to be extremely dangerous. Lin Feng seemed to be unable to dodge or even defend himself in time. Poison Rose's charming and beautiful eyes revealed a complacent and cold killing intent. From Poison Rose's point of view, Lin Feng was dead for sure, right? Just as Lin Feng's head was about to be decapitated by Poison Rose's short blade, Lin Feng's body flickered. It was as though he had teleported, disappearing from Poison Rose's sight. Poison Rose's attack missed. Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique to dodge Poison Rose's attack. He could not help but break out in a cold sweat. It was too dangerous just now. If he hadn't broken through the illusion at the critical moment, his head would have already been separated from his body. Just a few words and a few actions almost made me lose myself. Your charm technique is really powerful, Lin Feng said. No matter how powerful the charm technique is, didn't you still see through it? But now, you won't have any more chances. As soon as Poison Rose finished speaking, she pointed at the white bone throne. Suddenly, the white bone throne began to decompose into 9 white bone creatures wielding bone blades. You really have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Of course. When my 9 white bone creatures join forces, they even have the ability to kill gods. I would like to see how you block the attacks of 9 white bone creatures. Poison Rose sneered and cast thousands of spells with both hands. These spells all surged into the bodies of the 9 white bone creatures. In the deep eye sockets of the 9 white bone creatures. Suddenly, 9 clusters of pale green demonic ghost flames appeared. The ghost flames flickered violently. The 9 white bone creatures seemed to have their own lives. They split into 9 directions and rushed towards Lin Feng. Ha 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 ha, Poison Rose, you don't know how powerful I am. Today, I will let you know how I broke your 9 white bone creatures. Lin Feng laughed loudly. He took a step forward and started to circulate the ancient dragonesque elephant art. The dragonesque elephant holy force supported him. Lin Feng immediately felt that the magic power in his body was like a broken river, surging and engulfing the heavens and earth. The second stage of the ancient dragonesque elephant art allowed Lin Feng to borrow a portion of the power that was scattered between heaven and earth after the fall of the dragon elephant sovereign. The more dragonesque elephant holy force Lin Feng could devour, the more powerful his fighting strength would be. The dragonesque elephant holy force that was roaming between heaven and earth was still continuously pouring into his body. Lin Feng's body was filled with an incredible strength which could destroy the earth and sky. With a loud shout, he held the great desolate war spear in his hand and swept through the army with one move. Bang, 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 9 consecutive strikes. The sound shook the heavens. There was a fierce collision. The 9 skeletons were all blown away by Lin Feng's attack. His fighting strength has increased tremendously. What kind of divine ability is this? Poison Rose's pretty face changed slightly. Although she was surprised, she did not stop attacking. She moved her divine thought and continued to control the 9 white bone creatures to attack Lin Feng. I can suppress ghosts, immortals, and Buddhas, but I have no obligation to tell you. Lin Feng looked indifferent and sneered. He used the 8 directional worlds and rushed out of the encirclement of the white bone creatures. In an instant, he arrived in front of Poison Rose and stabbed the great desolate war spear towards her. Pooh! The spear pierced through Poison Rose's body. However, Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. Sure enough, in the next moment, Poison Rose's body turned into a puppet. A puppet that could die for her. Lin Feng turned his head to the left and saw Poison Rose step out of the void. However, her pretty face was very unsightly. Clearly, she had not expected Lin Feng to be so strong. She chanted an incantation and the 9 white bone creatures turned into a white bone throne. She sat on the throne and coldly looked at Lin Feng before flying away, as if she wanted to escape. Lin Feng chased after her with the great desolate war spear. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? What? Do you want to kill me? If you want to kill me, let's see if you can catch up to me, said Du-Rose coldly glancing at Lin Feng. She then quickly ran away. The white bone throne was extremely fast and turned into a streak of light as it rushed into the depths of the poison fog forest. Lin Feng used the 8 directional worlds and chased after it. After Poison Rose and Lin Feng left, the mercenaries of Poison Rose mercenary group who had been hiding in the forest came out. Who is that guy? How can he be so terrifying? Even the leader is not his match. Yeah, he's too strong. He made us lose so many brothers. I can't wait to tear him to pieces. With your little cultivation, you should be lucky if he doesn't tear you to pieces. The leader left in the direction of the 10,000 Poisons Valley. It seems like the leader wants to lure him there. That guy doesn't understand the situation in the 10,000 Poisons Valley. Many mercenaries started discussing. Chapter 1441. The white bone throne flew quickly in the air. Poison Rose sat on the white bone throne, and from time to time, she would raise her right hand and slap the white bone throne. Skeleton warriors would rush out from the white bone throne, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. These skeleton warriors were all illusions. They were either holding swords or sabers, holding all kinds of weapons as they rushed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered, and the great desolate war spear swept forward. Bang! This attack landed on the skeleton warriors, and in an instant, the skeleton warriors shattered one by one. Lin Feng said, "Don't think about running, you won't be able to. If you know what's good for you, then obediently stop and let me see what you look like." "I couldn't tell that you were actually a stinky hooligan," Poison Rose sarcastically said. Lin Feng said, "Even if I am a hooligan, please don't casually add the word stinky, okay? I bathe every day, and I don't stink at all." Poison Rose could naturally tell that Lin Feng was teasing her. Thus, Poison Rose couldn't help but snort coldly, and no longer pay attention to Lin Feng. Instead, she increased her speed to the limit and rushed towards the depths. Lin Feng said, "Why do you have to run away pointlessly? In the end, won't you still be caught by me? Everyone says that you are so beautiful that you don't seem to be a woman of the mortal world. Right now, I want to see what you look like. If you want to see what I look like, then you'll have to see if you have the ability to do so." Poison Rose sneered, and then she took out a spatial porcelain bottle. From the spatial porcelain bottle, a dense number of poisonous insects flew out, covering the sky and covering the earth as they pounced towards Lin Feng. When those poisonous insects pounced towards him, Lin Feng immediately took out the heavenly fire. The heavenly fire burned. A large number of poisonous insects were burned to death, and those that were not burned to death fled without a trace. Lin Feng said, "No matter how many tricks you have, it will be difficult for you to escape from my grasp today. When I catch you, I will carefully examine you. If you are really as beautiful as the outside world says, I don't mind taking you in as my personal servant." Poison Rose was furious. She was the high and mighty leader of the Poisonous Rose mercenary group, who was feared by everyone. She was like an empress who held great power over life and death. In Poison Rose's opinion, men only fit to live under her feet. Lin Feng actually dared to say that he wanted to take her as his personal maidservant. Now Poison Rose couldn't wait to tear Lin Feng into pieces. Poison Rose suppressed the anger in her heart and looked coldly at Lin Feng. However, she did not say anything and rushed towards Zhang Ji. Finally, Poison Rose saw a valley in the depths. That valley was the famous Myriad Poison Valley. The Myriad Poison Valley was an extremely terrifying place. Not only was it densely covered in restrictions, it also contained potent poison. Once trapped, one would either be poisoned to death or killed by the restrictions. Back then, Poison Rose had entered this place to collect the poison of all evils and refine her poison spirit. However, he had taken the risk to enter the 10,000 Poisons Valley and had nearly died there. In the end, he was lucky enough to escape. It was also that experience. By chance, Poison Rose had grasped a portion of the restrictions in the valley. Therefore, Poison Rose wanted to lure Lin Feng into the valley while she quickly left the valley. This way, Lin Feng would be trapped in the valley. At that time, he would definitely die. Swoosh! Poison Rose turned into a stream of light and rushed into the valley. Immediately after, Lin Feng also chased in. The moment Lin Feng entered, Poison Rose activated a portion of the restrictions that she had grasped and attacked Lin Feng. "This valley is called the Myriad Poison Valley. It is filled with potent poison. When I entered before, I had a slim chance of survival. However, I was lucky and survived. That time, my luck was really good. Although I almost died inside by chance, I grasped a portion of the restrictions in the valley. Now that this portion of the restrictions has been activated, you can just wait to die here." Poison Rose couldn't help but say proudly. She controlled the white bone throne and rushed outside. But suddenly, dense threads wrapped around the white bone throne. Those threads were condensed by Lin Feng's great entanglement technique using his magic power. The white bone throne was instantly pulled into the restrictions. You! Poison Rose's pretty face changed. She raised her right hand and slapped towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, Your attacks are weak. Let me capture you. Lin Feng used an ancient skill, Godly Finger, and broke Du Rose's attack. Then, he quickly tapped on Poison Rose's body, and Poison Rose's magic power was immediately scattered. You scattered my magic power! Poison Rose screamed, and her pretty face suddenly changed. Lin Feng's body was surrounded by heavenly fire, which blocked the invasion of the poison. However, Poison Rose was completely exposed to the poison, but she was still fine. Clearly, this was very unusual. Lin Feng smiled and said, Your magic power has been scattered. You have no power to resist at all. Now you are my prisoner. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes at Poison Rose and continued, It seems that you have a very powerful antidote on you. You seem to be completely immune to the poison here. Humph. Poison Rose snorted coldly and didn't say anything. Lin Feng smiled and said, Where did you put the antidote? Your chest is so swollen. Did you hide it here? Let me see. Lin Feng said as he reached his right hand into Poison Rose's clothes to search for the antidote. It's not there. You can't do this. Poison Rose screamed in fright. Said Lin Feng, smiling. You're a vicious woman, and surprisingly you're scared? How rare. Poison Rose gritted her teeth and said, As long as you let me go, you can name any condition you want. I will agree to it. Who said I'm letting you go? I want to take you in as my personal maid, but first, I want to see what my personal maid looks like. Lin Feng said with a smile and reached out to remove the veil on Poison Rose's face. Poison Rose quickly retreated and screamed, If you dare to remove my veil, I will definitely kill you. Lin Feng pursed his lips and said, You are already a prisoner, and you still dare to say that you will kill me? You're no longer the mercenary queen from before. You're just my personal maid now. Lin Feng hugged Poison Rose's small waist so that she couldn't struggle free. Then, he removed Poison Rose's veil. When Lin Feng saw Poison Rose's face, he was stupefied. She looked like a celestial being. Lin Feng had seen too many beauties. However, among all the beauties Lin Feng had seen, in terms of appearance, Poison Rose was the most beautiful. Perhaps only the Empress could be compared to Poison Rose. The Empress was known as the #1 beauty in Tianwu University. Poison Rose's appearance was actually comparable to the Empress's. One could imagine how beautiful this face was. Seeing Lin Feng staring at her without blinking, Poison Rose immediately gnashed her teeth and shouted, If you look again, I will gouge out your eyeballs. You actually dare to be so rude to your master. You are looking for a beating. Lin Feng coldly snorted. He slapped Poison Rose's perky buttocks. A pa! Sound was heard. It was very sensual. However, Poison Rose was in so much pain that she almost cried. She glared fiercely at Lin Feng. Chapter 1442. Why are you looking at me so fiercely? Are you not convinced? Do you believe that I won't do it on the other half of your butt? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes as he looked at Poison Rose's butt. This woman wasn't just beautiful. Her figure was also extremely hot. Just now, it felt pretty good. You! Poison Rose wanted to say, Don't you dare! But as soon as she said the first word, she swallowed it back. She knew that Lin Feng wouldn't care about her threat. If she continued to threaten Lin Feng, her butt would be the one to suffer. That's more like it. I like hearing about servant girls, said Lin Feng while smiling. His right hand was caressing the Poisonous Rose's waist. She had no excess fat at all. Although there was a layer of clothes between them, it didn't affect his touch. Poison Rose pushed Lin Feng away and quickly retreated a few steps, her face blushing. Lin Feng stopped teasing Poison Rose. Instead, he looked into the depths of the valley. He had a vague feeling that there was something wrong with this place. Lin Feng looked at Poison Rose and asked, How much do you know about this 10,000 Poisons Valley? Poison Rose didn't want to talk to Lin Feng, but she was worried that if she didn't reply, Lin Feng would tease her again, so she said coldly, "This is a forbidden area in the poisonous fog forest. There are many powerful deployment spells. The deeper we go, the more powerful the deployment spells become. The deeper we go, the more powerful the deployment spells become. The deeper we go, the more powerful the deployment spells become." Lin Feng couldn't help but scratch his chin. It seemed like the depths of the 10,000 Poisons Valley contained some incredible secrets. He continued asking, "How much do you know about the depths of Myriad Poisons Valley?" Poison Rose continued, "The 10,000 Poisons Valley is densely covered with restrictions, and it also contains a deadly poison. The deeper you go, the stronger the poison and the stronger the restrictions. In the deepest part of the valley, the void even cracks, and the power of space-time storms escapes. If a cultivator is caught in the power of the space-time storms, they will be instantly swallowed into the space-time cracks and die. That's why the deepest part of the valley has always been very mysterious, and no one has ever been able to explore it." "Come with me and take a look," Lin Feng said. Poison Rose immediately shouted, "I'm not going in. If I go in, I'll die." Lin Feng lightly patted Poison Rose's butt and said, "I'm here, so what are you afraid of? Stay by my side, and I won't let anything happen to you." Her perky buttocks were attacked once again. Poison Rose glared at Lin Feng, her eyes seemingly spitting fire. She said viciously, "Don't think I don't know what you're thinking by dragging me inside. Are you trying to use me as a shield when danger appears? In all honesty, I didn't think that way. I can't bear to use a beauty like you as a shield. Only a cold-blooded person would do something like that," Lin Feng said. "It seems that not long ago, someone said that I have a heart of snakes and scorpions. Now that I think about it, you men are just a bunch of animals who think in the body of a lower being." Poison Rose mocked. "You can't kill all men with one blow. You said that I'm an animal who thinks in the lower half of my body. Should I strip you naked now and then do you 100 times to show you how powerful I am?" Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and looked at Poison Rose's delicate body. Poison Rose's face paled. She knew that she shouldn't continue mocking Lin Feng. Otherwise, she would be the one to suffer. She temporarily suppressed the anger in her heart and said, "Don't you want to go in? I'll just follow you." Lin Feng nodded and took the lead in walking in. With a thought, Poison Rose's white bone throne quickly shrank and entered her body. Although Poison Rose couldn't use her magic power, however, a high-level magic treasure like the white bone throne could change its size with a thought. It could also be retracted and used. It was just that without magic power, she couldn't release the power of the white bone throne. After keeping the white bone throne, Poison Rose followed Lin Feng inside. There were many moving restrictions floating in the air. The lethality of these restrictions was extremely strong. If one's body came into contact with these restrictions, it was very likely that one would die. However, to Lin Feng, dodging these restrictions wasn't difficult. Poison Rose quickly realized that something was wrong. How could Lin Feng pass through so many restrictions so easily? "You're proficient in formations?" Poison Rose said in shock. Through sensing Lin Feng's life aura, Poison Rose knew that Lin Feng was an extremely young cultivator. Being so young and having such a powerful cultivation already made her extremely shocked. However, Lin Feng was so familiar with formations. This made Poison Rose feel incredulous. After all, a person's energy was limited. For a young man in his 20s to have such a powerful cultivation and such a high level of proficiency in formations, it was indeed too unbelievable. Lin Feng smiled and said, "What? You like me?" Poison Rose sneered and said, "I like you? I'm just a little surprised." Lin Feng said, "Don't be curious about me, because that's the beginning of your fall." Poison Rose sneered and didn't say anything else. As they went deeper, it was just as Poison Rose had said. The poisonous gas became stronger, and the restrictions became more terrifying. Lin Feng originally used the purple earth core fire to protect his body, but later found that a type of heavenly fire couldn't stop the poison from invading his body, so he took out the black flame god burning fire. He didn't ask Poison Rose for an antidote. This woman was extremely good at using poison. Lin Feng didn't know much about poisons. Therefore, if Poison Rose had done something to the pills, Lin Feng wouldn't know. One had to be wary of others. This was especially true when dealing with women like Poison Rose. The slightest carelessness could cause one to fall into her trap. Finally, Lin Feng and Poison Rose arrived at the depths of Myriad Poison's valley. The valley stretched out, and the void cracked. Some of the smaller cracks were more than 10 centimeters long. Some of the bigger cracks were 5 or 6 meters long. The terrifying power of the space-time storm escaped from the void crack. Lin Feng took out the hurricane pearl and grabbed Poison Rose's slender hand. He felt that her hand was very soft and comfortable to touch. "Let go of me, you scoundrel!" Poison Rose struggled. Said Lin Feng. "I have a hurricane pearl in my hand. It can block the strength of the space and time storm. If I grab you, the hurricane pearl can protect both of us. If I don't grab you, you'll be instantly torn apart by the space and time storm. What do you think? Should I grab you or let you go?" "Humph." Poison Rose snorted but didn't struggle. She let Lin Feng grab her hand and walked deeper into the valley with Lin Feng. In the distance, they saw a huge, pitch-black cave appear in their line of sight. Large amounts of poisonous gas spewed out from the cave. The cave was deep, and they didn't know where it led to. Chapter 1443. The cave was deep and poisonous, emitting a cold and terrifying aura. Poison Rose said, "You're not thinking of going in to investigate, are you?" Lin Feng nodded. "That's exactly what I was thinking. This place looks dangerous. Going in might cause a lot of trouble." Poison Rose frowned. She didn't want to go in. "You can wait for me outside," Lin Feng said. Poison Rose could not help but roll her eyes. She grumbled, "It's so dangerous outside. There might be many terrifying wild beasts lurking around. I've already lost all my magic power. If I stay outside, won't I die?" Lin Feng said. "Then come with me. Be careful." He took the lead and walked into the cave. Poison Rose followed closely behind and entered the cave. The cave was very spacious, and the poison was still boiling. Poison Rose took out a few pills and swallowed them. They were most likely special antidotes. She had lived in the poison fog forest for a long time, so she had a deep understanding of poisons. These antidotes had been refined by her. "What do you think is the source of the poison here?" Lin Feng asked. Poison Rose said, "The birth of poison is related to many factors, and it's hard to say how the poison was produced here. However, I'm guessing that there's something extremely poisonous in this place, and that thing is the source of the poisonous gas." Lin Feng nodded. He was convinced by the Poisonous Rose's words. The two of them went deeper into the cave. Finally, they arrived at the deepest part of the cave. In the deepest part of the cave was a huge mountain. There was a Dao platform in the middle of the mountain. The poisonous gas was coming from the bottom of the Dao platform. "There's actually such a huge Dao platform here. Who built it?" Poison Rose couldn't help but exclaim when she saw the Dao platform. Lin Feng frowned. A Dao platform here was very strange. He walked up to the Dao platform and discovered that it was shaped like an 8 trigrams diagram. "The 8 trigrams Dao platform is built here, and the poisonous gas below it surges. Could it be suppressing something?" Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. Poison Rose looked at Lin Feng and asked, "You specialize in great arrays, so what do you think of this 8 trigrams platform?" Lin Feng said, "The 8 trigrams are revered as the core Tao of Taoism. The 8 trigrams can be combined at will, and each hexagram has a different interpretation. The 8 trigrams can be used to attack, to deduce the mysteries of the world, and even to suppress some powerful creatures." Poison Rose's heart skipped a beat, and she asked, "Are you saying that there might be a living being suppressed under the 8 trigrams Dao platform?" Lin Feng nodded. "That's indeed a possibility. What are you going to do? Poison Rose asked. Open it and see what's sealed inside, Lin Feng said. Poison Rose sighed and said, I guess that you would say that. You really don't care about your life. Have you ever thought that if the terrifying being suppressed inside is still alive, you and I will die here? Lin Feng said. I've already thought about it. This 8 trigrams Tao platform is a formation technique from the immemorial era of the Celestial Masters. This means that this 8 trigrams Tao platform was built by a Celestial Masters. Billions of years have passed, and the being suppressed inside should have been destroyed long ago. Even if it wasn't destroyed, its cultivation levels should have dropped a long time ago, so I have nothing to fear. Poison Rose opened her mouth and said, You really are a meticulous person. It seems like you've seen through my plan to lure you to the Valley of 1,000 Poisons, right? Lin Feng smiled and said, I did have my suspicions, but I don't care. I know that you aren't my match, and the formation can't trap me. You're not modest at all. Poison Rose couldn't help but snort coldly. Lin Feng smiled and said, I'm just telling the truth. Now step back. I'll break this 8 trigrams Tao platform. Poison Rose nodded and retreated to the periphery. Lin Feng walked up to the platform and started breaking the 8 trigrams Tao platform. The 8 trigrams Tao platform's inheritance was extremely complicated, obscure, and difficult to understand. If it were anyone else, it would be impossible for them to break the 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation. However, it wasn't difficult for Lin Feng to break the 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation. This was because he knew how to set up the 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation. After about 2 hours, Lin Feng successfully broke the 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation. The 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation emitted waves of divine light. An 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation was projected into the air. Then, the 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation began to spin rapidly. With every spin, the 8 formation cores, Qian, Kan, Zhen, Jin, Kun, Dui, Li, and Sun, would emit waves of destructive power. Crack! 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 Finally, the 8 trigrams Tao platform's formation shattered. The 8 trigrams Tao platform below also began to crack. Huff, huff, huff. After the 8 trigrams Tao platform cracked, an overwhelming amount of green gas surged out from the Tao platform. That green gas was actually highly toxic. Chi 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 chi. That kind of highly toxic poison was too terrifying. Even the void was corroded. The void cracked open, and waves of space-time energy escaped from the cracked void. After seeing the power released by the highly toxic poison, Lin Feng was shocked. He couldn't believe his eyes. In this world, there was actually such a terrifying poison. Even the void was corroded by a highly toxic poison. Just how terrifying was this kind of poison? Lin Feng quickly retreated, looking at the highly toxic poison escaping from the cracked Tao platform. As time passed, more and more of the poison appeared. Roar! Suddenly, a deep roar came from within the poisonous fog. Next, Lin Feng and Poison Rose saw the rolling poisonous fog in the air turn into a bion bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws, then a bion, then a chisel. After a dozen beasts, it finally turned into an ugly human face. What the hell is this? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Ha ha! I never thought that I, the ancestor of all poisons, would see the light of day again. The ugly human face laughed eerily. Ancestor of all poisons? You're the ancestor of all poisons? The ancestor of all poisons who ruled the banished world in the beginning of the immemorial era? Poison Rose's face turned pale when she heard the words ancestor of all poisons. Chapter 1444. Ha ha! Even after billions of years, my reputation as the ancestor of myriad poisons is still as resounding. The ancestor of myriad poisons laughed proudly. Who's the ancestor of myriad poisons? This is the first time I've heard of him. Lin Feng muttered. The ancestor of myriad poisons stopped laughing when he heard Lin Feng's muttering. He gloomily looked at Lin Feng and said fiercely, Brat, do you know what you're saying? Are you saying that on purpose? Are you trying to piss me off? I won't fall for it. Ha ha. Damn, this guy is really a weirdo. Hearing the ancestor of myriad poisons' demonic laughter and confidence, Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes and say, I've really never heard of you. The ancestor of myriad poisons sighed and said, Brat, I really admire you. You can lie as if you're telling the truth. Don't worry, I won't blame you. I've always been magnanimous, so I've chosen to forgive you. Do you admire my magnanimity? Lin Feng. Poison rose. The ancestor of myriad poisons continued to laugh as he yelled, This ancestor is benevolent to the heavens, and since you let this ancestor out, this ancestor will give the two of you a chance. If you kneel on the ground and swear loyalty to this ancestor and become this ancestor's slaves, this ancestor will not only spare your lives, but if you follow this ancestor in the future, you'll be able to reach the peak of life. Lin Feng's face darkened. No matter how he looked at it, this guy who claimed to be the ancestor of myriad poisons was unreliable. Poison Rose had said that the ancestor of myriad poisons had once ruled over the exiled world. Lin Feng was starting to wonder if this part of history had been fabricated. Lin Feng planned to ask Poison Rose about the ancestor of myriad poisons' origins, so he turned to her and asked, Who is this weirdo? Did he really rule over the exiled world? Poison Rose said helplessly, He did rule the banished world, but not for a long time. It's said that this guy was one step away from breaking through to the Emperor realm, but he was too cruel. He killed people without batting an eye. Under his rule, many places in the banished world were barren and desolate. The entire banished world was shrouded in an atmosphere of extreme despair. It's said that a powerful figure appeared and killed him. Now it seems that he wasn't killed, but suppressed here. Hey, what are you two doing? Why are you kissing each other in broad daylight? Aren't you two shameless? Do you think I'm air? Shouted the ancestor of myriad poisons shouted Lin of myriad poisons. Of myriad poisons of myriad poisons of myriad poisons. Of myriad poisons. Of myriad ancestor of myriad poisons of myriad. Such a heavy blow had deeply stimulated him, and that was why he had become like this. Let's leave quickly. This guy isn't easy to deal with. The moment the ancestor of myriad poisons came into contact with the golden dragon, sizzling sounds of burning could be heard. The poison coiling around the ancestor of myriad poisons' body was instantly ignited. Heavenly fire, this is heavenly fire, the golden dragon divine flames, you actually refined heavenly fire. The ancestor of myriad poisons cried out in horror. The ancestor of myriad poisons only had its origin left. The origin contained a part of the ancestor of myriad poison's soul. Whether it was the origin energy or the soul energy, they were both darkness-type energy, and they were both gaseous. Flames countered darkness-type energy. Flames countered all kinds of gases. This was especially true for heavenly fire. No matter what kind of gas encountered it, it would ignite. It was the same principle as nourishing qi that was instantly ignited when it came into contact with flames. Thus, the ancestor of myriad poisons was completely suppressed by Lin Feng. That's right, this is the golden dragon divine flames, the ancestor of myriad poisons. Do you think you're a match for me? Lin Feng sneered at the ancestor of myriad poisons. Golden dragon divine flames, you're the area lord of the Dragon Gate region, Lin Feng. Poison Rose's beautiful eyes widened, and she looked at Lin Feng in shock. She hadn't thought that the person in front of her would be the famous person that countless people were talking about. Now that she knew Lin Feng's identity, Poison Rose found it difficult to calm down. At the same time, she felt incomparably bitter. No wonder she had lost to him. Unless a true god came, no one in the banished world would be qualified to be this guy's opponent, right? Chapter 1445. Brat, we have no grudges in the past, and we have no enmity today. There's no need for us to fight to the death, right? How about this? Let's each take a step back. You go your way, and I'll go mine. We'll mind our own business. The ancestor of poisons shouted. Lin Feng already had a good understanding of how shameless the ancestor of poisons could be. He coldly laughed as he said, "You wanted to eat me just then, and now you want me to stop? Dream on! Your source energy is very powerful, and if I refine your source energy, my cultivation might even increase." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng continued controlling the golden dragon divine flame to charge at the ancestor of poisons. The golden dragon spat out divine flames that filled the sky. The flames burned fiercely. Chi 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 chi, the ancestor of poison's origin energy was constantly being eaten away by the heavenly flames. When the ancestor of poisons saw this, he was extremely terrified. He shouted, "Brat, you won't let me live! Today, I'll fight you to the death. Even if I lose my life, I'll drag you down with me. Forget it. It's useless to say such vicious words in front of me. No one can save you today." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He waved his right hand, and the black god burn flew out. The black flames enveloped the cave, covering the sky as they moved towards the ancestor of poisons. "The black god burn! You've actually refined 2 types of heavenly flames." The ancestor of poison's eyes were quite sharp. He recognized Lin Feng's second heavenly flame and roared in shock. Heavenly flames were flames that had formed before the creation of the world. There were only 72 types in total. Over the years, many of them had disappeared. During the immemorial era, it was very rare to see heavenly flames. Moreover, in the current era, the immemorial era, hundreds of millions of years had passed. Heavenly flames were even rarer. However, in this era where heavenly flames had almost disappeared, Lin Feng had actually refined 2 types of heavenly flames. It was truly inconceivable. Poison Rose was also dumbfounded. Obviously, she was also shocked. Seeing how shocked the ancestor of all poisons and Poison Rose were, Lin Feng couldn't help but twitch his mouth. He thought to himself, "I've only brought out 2 heavenly flames, and you're already so shocked. If I bring out a 3rd heavenly flame, what kind of expression will you have? Will he be scared half to death?" Of course, Lin Feng didn't plan to completely expose his trump card, so he didn't plan to use the 3rd heavenly flame. Moreover, 2 heavenly flames were enough to deal with the ancestor of myriad poisons. There was no need to use a 3rd heavenly flame. Now, under the assault of Lin Feng's 2 heavenly flames, the ancestor of all poisons was on the verge of collapsing. In truth, the ancestor of myriad poisons' current cultivation was extremely powerful. Lin Feng estimated that the ancestor of 10,000 poisons' cultivation was around the 7th or 8th heavenly layer of Nihility God realm. In addition, his origin source was the poison origin source. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons' origin source could turn into all kinds of poisons. Therefore, even God Fire realm powerhouses didn't dare underestimate the ancestor of all poisons. But so what if the ancestor of 10,000 poisons was powerful? Everything in the world had a natural counter. Now that Lin Feng was suppressing the ancestor of all poisons, no matter how powerful his cultivation was, he couldn't use them. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons watched as the heavenly flames continued to burn away his origin source. The ancestor of all poisons shouted, "Kid, negotiate! I want to negotiate with you." "Negotiate? I don't accept negotiations. Right now, I'm very interested in your origin source," Lin Feng said indifferently. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons shouted angrily, "A dragon in the shallows is being toyed with by shrimps, and a tiger in the plains is being bullied by dogs. If this had been the primordial era, when I was still a quasi-emperor, I could have killed a nobody like you with a single slap." Lin Feng cursed. "You're the shrimps, the dogs. Your whole family is shrimps, your whole family is dogs. Go to hell to meet the king of hell." The 2 heavenly flames burned fiercely. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons found it very difficult to resist. Soon, the poison that had enveloped his origin source was completely burned away. Only the origin source was left. Under the heavenly flames burning, the origin source began to burn. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons shouted, "Kid, do you want to learn the 3,000 great Taos? I have a peerless technique here. Once you learn it, you'll be immune to all poisons, and you'll even be able to turn any substance into poison. Once you master this technique, you'll be able to kill people without them noticing. Oh? It's that powerful? What kind of technique is that? Lin Feng asked. The Great Poison Technique. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons shouted. If you spare me, I'll teach you the Great Poison Technique. How about it? If I spare you, an ancient powerhouse like you will definitely have a way to quickly recover your strength. Isn't that the same as letting a tiger return to its mountain? Lin Feng sneered. Why don't I convert you and make you my slave? Wouldn't that be better? As soon as he finished speaking, he began to circulate the Great Purification Technique. An endless stream of purification power condensed. All of it surged towards the ancestor of 10,000 poisons' origin source. The Great Purification Technique. A Buddhist technique. It's one of the most evil techniques. The person being converted will become a walking corpse. Kid, you really aren't a good person. You actually cultivated an evil technique like the Great Purification Technique. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons roared furiously, resisting the Great Purification Technique's purification. Lin Feng sneered. Techniques aren't evil. It's just that people are divided into good and evil. My Great Purification Technique is meant to purify and benefit all living beings. I've never used it on good people. I only use it on evil people like you. Lin Feng sent out 36 palm strikes, trying to force the purification power into the ancestor of 10,000 poisons' origin source. However, Lin Feng discovered that he had failed. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons smiled. Although my cultivation has dropped, I'm still a quasi-emperor. It's impossible for you to use the Great Purification Technique to convert me. Lin Feng raised an eyebrow and dispersed the Great Purification Technique. He laughed and said, Ancestor of 10,000 poisons, as expected of an expert from the ancient era. It doesn't matter if I can't convert you. Now I'll give you a chance to live. Submit to me, and I'll spare your life. Kid, you're dreaming. What right do you have to make a quasi-emperor submit to you? You're too shameless and self-righteous. Even if I have to sacrifice my life, I won't choose to submit. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons roared furiously. Ancestor of 10,000 poisons, you have to think this through. Everyone only has one life. You were trapped for millions of years, and your youth was wasted. You must have lived a life worse than death. It wasn't easy for you to come out. Are you really willing to die like this? Lin Feng shouted. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons' expression was gloomy. He naturally wasn't willing to die like this, but he would rather die than submit to Lin Feng. This was a matter of dignity. For an expert like the ancestor of 10,000 poisons, dignity was more important than life. Lin Feng continued shouting. Ancestor of 10,000 poisons, don't think that submitting to me is a wrong thing. Look, what kind of bloodline do you have? As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng activated his 5 devouring martial spirits. His 5 devouring martial spirits merged into one. Lin Feng stood in the black hole and looked at the ancestor of 10,000 poisons. At that moment, his sovereign emperor's blood was awakening. You're a descendant of that race. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons trembled. He couldn't believe his eyes. Ancestor of 10,000 poisons, kneel on the ground and swear an oath to me. Lin Feng's voice was like a demon's or a god's. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons struggled for a moment, then turned into a handsome cultivator. He knelt on the ground and raised his hands to the sky as he swore. I, the ancestor of 10,000 poisons, am willing to submit to you. Through life and death, I will be loyal and devoted. If I violate this oath, may I be struck by lightning. After the oath was sworn, a rune flashed between the eyebrows of Lin Feng and the ancestor of 10,000 poisons. It was an oath rune. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons, a former quasi-emperor, had submitted to Lin Feng. Chapter 1446. 3 days later, Lin Feng, the ancestor of all poisons, and Poison Rose arrived at the ancient capital of chaos. The ancient capital of chaos was like a primordial beast resting on the ground, emitting a heavy and oppressive aura. The moment they entered the capital, people immediately stared at Lin Feng, the ancestor of all poisons, and Poison Rose. The ancient capital of chaos was a place where the strong preyed on the weak. Without strength, there was no way to survive here. Lin Feng was too young, so it was inevitable that people would look down on him. The ancestor of all poisons also turned into a demonic young cultivator and deliberately suppressed his cultivation. This guy was clearly pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. As for Poison Rose, her magic power was sealed by Lin Feng, so she was no longer the mercenary queen of the past. Lin Feng's group was young and they weren't very strong. Besides, there was a woman with an extremely hot body. Even though the poisonous Rose was wearing a veil which covered her beautiful face, everybody could see that she had a perfect body. Her face was breathtakingly beautiful. "Ha ha, little girl, come play with this master will make you feel good to death." A fierce-looking cultivator with a perverted smile walked over. Lin Feng hugged Poison Rose's small waist and said with a smile, "This girl is mine. If we want to play, it should be me. Who do you think you are?" Scram to the side. Poison Rose glared at Lin Feng and secretly reached out to pinch Lin Feng's waist. Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp. This place was a man's weak spot. Seeing Lin Feng's painful appearance, Poison Rose couldn't help but feel proud. But in the blink of an eye, Poison Rose's face turned red because Lin Feng's right hand, which was originally on her waist, was slowly moving down to her bosom. He wasn't polite at all and was even rubbing it a few times. Poison Rose fiercely glared at Lin Feng, wanting nothing more than to bite this bastard to death for daring to take advantage of her like this. Lin Feng and Poison Rose were secretly competing with each other, but in the eyes of others, they were flirting. Many people showed expressions of envy and jealousy. The fierce-looking cultivator couldn't wait to enjoy the poisonous Rose. He sneered and said, "Little bastard, there's no woman I can't get." As soon as he finished speaking, the cultivator with a ferocious face slapped towards Lin Feng with his palm, while his other hand directly grabbed towards Poison Rose. Tang Hu is a ruthless person. Not only is he very strong, but he also has the Tang clan behind him. Now that he has taken a fancy to that woman, we won't have a share. Many cultivators shook their heads. Clearly, many people recognized this fierce-looking cultivator. Crack! Just as Tang Hu was about to make his move, the ancestor of myriad poisons, who was standing beside Lin Feng, grabbed Tang Hu's wrist and said with a smile, "Grandson, you even dare to offend our young master? Have you eaten a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? Courting death." Tang Hu shouted angrily. He was just about to kick the ancestor of all poisons. But suddenly, Tang Hu felt a pain in his wrist. He looked at his wrist. Then, he saw his wrist quickly turn black. Soon, the flesh on his wrist began to corrode. In the blink of an eye, white bones were revealed. "Spare me, spare me!" Tang Hu cried out in fear because he discovered that his entire arm had begun to corrode. "Offending our young master will only lead to death," the ancestor of all poisons said sinisterly. "I'm a member of the Tang clan. For the sake of the Tang clan, let me live!" Tang Hu shouted loudly, using the Tang clan's name to scare off the ancestor of all poisons. But what kind of person was the ancestor of all poisons? How could he be afraid of the so-called Tang clan? Tang clan? Are they very powerful? It just so happens that I'm looking for someone to stretch my muscles and rob them while I'm at it. Is this Tang clan rich? The ancestor of all poisons laughed sinisterly. The next moment, Tang Hu's entire body was corroded by the poison, turning into a pile of bones. "Heavens, it's a poison cultivator! Hurry up and retreat, get away from these people!" Many people's faces turned pale as they quickly retreated, looking at the ancestor of all poisons in fear. Poison cultivators were considered evil cultivators. Because the poison cultivator was good at using poison, no one dared to provoke the poison cultivator because the poison cultivator's methods were too strange. "Let's go!" Lin Feng said indifferently as he walked into the distance. Poison rose and the ancestor of all poisons followed behind Lin Feng. Who is that brat? There's actually a poison cultivator following him, and that poison cultivator seems to be calling him young master. Is that poison cultivator his follower? It's very likely that he's an evil cultivator. It's better not to provoke him. Tang Hu is dead. This matter won't end so easily. The Tang clan isn't easy to deal with. Hee, let's just wait and watch the show. Many people were discussing spiritedly. Lin Feng found a high-end inn with an independent courtyard. The courtyard's environment was elegant, with lush green trees, luxuriant grass, rockery, and a small bridge with flowing water. Many courtyards were located in various places. In a room, Lin Feng sat cross-legged, holding a 9-colored illusory stone in each hand. At this moment, Lin Feng was comprehending the Great Poison Technique, a peerless technique. The Great Poison Technique was ranked 15th among the 3,000 great techniques. In the past, the ancestor of all poisons had used the Great Poison Technique to enter the Tao. He had cultivated the myriad poison's body. After that, he had been only one step away from becoming a great emperor. From this, one could see how powerful the Great Poison Technique was. Once it was cultivated to a profound level, one would be invincible. Lin Feng was very interested in the Great Poison Technique. Of course, there was a reason. Lin Feng had an immortal divine body. However, his immortal divine body couldn't resist the invasion of poison. One day, if someone poisoned Lin Feng, they might be able to kill Lin Feng. However, it was different after cultivating the Great Poison Technique. Once the Great Poison Art was successfully cultivated, the Great Poison Art would be able to devour any poison. In this way, Lin Feng wouldn't be afraid of poison anymore. Of course, the Great Poison Technique's lethality was also extremely powerful. When facing an enemy, it could erupt with terrifying power. While Lin Feng was cultivating the Great Poison Technique, 3 cultivators entered the courtyard where Lin Feng lived. They also rented a courtyard. Their courtyard was 1,000 years away from Lin Feng's. These 3 people were none other than Mose Tianzuan, Heavenly Emperor Jun, and Wang Tianyi. Brother Jun, when do you plan to make a move? Mose Tianzuan asked. That old monster in the ancient city of chaos has a strange temperament. If we join forces to deal with Lin Feng here, I'm afraid that old monster will interfere. Mose Tianzuan frowned slightly and said, Brother Jun, you mean to wait until that kid leaves the ancient city of chaos before making a move? Heavenly Emperor Jun nodded and said, That's right. If we make a move outside the ancient city of chaos, that old monster won't be able to interfere. Mose Tianzuan laughed sinisterly and said, In that case, let's let that kid live for a few more days. Chapter 1447. Tang Hu's death infuriated the Tang clan. The Tang clan was a middle-class clan in the ancient city of chaos. But such a middle-class clan couldn't be underestimated. They were extremely strong. In a place like the ancient city of chaos, if you weren't ruthless, you wouldn't be able to gain a foothold. Therefore, after learning that Tang Hu had been killed, the Tang clan immediately dispatched experts to kill Lin Feng. The poisonous rose, the ancestor of all poisons, was the only way to save the Tang clan's face. It wasn't difficult for the Tang clan to find Lin Feng and the others. When the experts of the Tang clan arrived, the ancestor of all poisons personally went to deal with them. The ancestor of all poisons was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He had suppressed his cultivation level to a very low level, but his fighting strength was unimaginable. How could the Tang clan be a match for him? The experts who had come were all killed by the ancestor of all poisons. After that, the ancestor of all poisons personally went to the Tang clan. The Tang clan dispatched all their experts, but they still weren't a match for the ancestor of all poisons. In the end, more than half of the Tang clan's experts were killed by the ancestor of all poisons. The others surrendered and the ancestor of all poisons spared their lives. After that, the ancestor of all poisons looted the Tang clan's treasury. Many people who were watching the show were dumbstruck. They hadn't thought that the ancestor of all poisons would be so strong. Tang Hu provoked someone he couldn't afford to provoke. Now, the Tang clan has suffered a calamity. So many of their experts have died. They'll definitely be replaced by other influential groups. That guy was definitely hiding his strength. He's really sinister. The entire Tang clan has been killed because of him. Luckily, Tang Hu was the one who attacked first. If we had attacked, we would have been the ones to die. Many people started discussing spiritedly. Of course, this was just a small matter for the ancestor of all poisons. Even in the ancient city of chaos, it wasn't a big deal. As time passed, the ancient city of chaos became more and more lively. More and more cultivators entered the ancient city of chaos. They had all come for the spirit-transforming fruit. The spirit-transforming fruit. It was a precious treasure that could help cultivators break through to the god layer. Of course, countless people would go crazy for it. Lin Feng went into seclusion for more than half a month to comprehend the great poison art. Lin Feng finally succeeded in comprehending this unparalleled divine ability. Now that Lin Feng had cultivated the great poison art to the minor completion stage, the next step would be to slowly perfect it. He would strive to cultivate the great poison art to the major completion stage, or even the great perfection stage. Seeing Lin Feng emerge from his closed-door cultivation, Poison Rose came looking for Lin Feng. She viciously asked, "What do I have to do for you to let me go? While I was in seclusion, you should have contacted your Poison Rose mercenary group, right?" Lin Feng chuckled. Poison Rose replied, "So what if I am?" Lin Feng pinched Poison Rose's snow-white chin and said, "That's good. Help me do something, and after it's done I'll return your freedom." "What is it?" Poison Rose asked. "You've been in the Poison Fog Forest for a long time. You should have connections in the ancient city of chaos, right?" Lin Feng said. Poison Rose nodded. "Of course. What about the auction house?" Lin Feng asked. "Yes." Poison Rose nodded. "The person who auctioned the God Transformation fruit will definitely go to the auction house to get his commission back. When that person shows up, inform me," Lin Feng said. Poison Rose sneered and said, "You're making things difficult for us. The auction house has its own rules and reputation. We will never sell out the identity of the person who put the item up for auction. If the auction house did that and word got out, then the auction house's business would be over." Lin Feng's right hand gently slid across Poison Rose's neck, chest, waist, and finally, he placed his hand on her perky butt. He was very close to her, so he looked at her and said, "Whether you can do it or not, that's your problem, not mine. If you can't do it, I'll have a pretty maid by my side. I'm quite interested in you." "Pervert." Poison Rose pushed Lin Feng away and glared fiercely at Lin Feng, then walked out. Before leaving Lin Feng's room, Poison Rose said, "I don't know when that person will come, but just wait for my news." Lin Feng smiled. "Then I hope we have a pleasant cooperation." The highly anticipated auction finally began. Many strong cultivators had gathered on this day. Lin Feng, Poison Rose, and the ancestor of all poisons entered the auction house. They spent a lot of money to book a private room and waited patiently for the auction to begin. "Qinhua people, Jin Wushu has arrived, Poison Region's young master Mu Jiuzhou has arrived, Southern Wasteland's young master Dong Fan Jioga has arrived." Many important people had come, and many of them had come from noble backgrounds. Many of the region leaders' sons had come, and it was obvious that they wanted the God Transformation fruit as well. Breaking through to the God realm was too difficult, and the God Transformation fruit was a shortcut. "It seems like the competition will be fierce. You want the God Transformation fruit? Do you have enough money? Maybe we can sign a contract and I'll lend it to you." Poison Rose looked at Lin Feng with a smile that did not seem like a smile. "Loan?" Lin Feng pursed his lips. "For a region leader like you, it's not much. You rule over a region and amass wealth without restraint. Isn't it easy for you to pay it back?" Poison Rose smiled. Lin Feng said, "With that little money of yours, it's just my pocket money. Keep bragging." Poison Rose pouted. Poison Rose's mouth twitched. She obviously didn't believe Lin Feng. Poison Rose had been killing people and robbing people all these years, and her wealth had piled up like a mountain. Lin Feng was the ruler of a region, but the Longmen region had only been established recently. It was too late for him to amass wealth. Lin Feng did not explain anything. He was waiting for the auction to begin. Dong, dong, dong! Then 3 bells rang out. The auction had begun. The auctioneers were an old man and a beautiful woman. The old man cupped his fists and smiled. I am the auctioneer of the ancient Chaos City's auction house, Zongjing Machi. This is my partner, Nandong Tianqing. The 2 of us will be in charge of this auction. The bidding price for each item must be at least 100,000 gold coins. Next, we will be auctioning the first item. As soon as the old man finished speaking, a servant girl walked over with a tray. The beautiful woman opened the brocade on the tray, and everyone saw that there was a porcelain bottle on the tray. Everyone, this is a worm egg. It's a famous ancient worm, the egg of an immemorial ancestor worm. The beautiful woman said with a smile. What? An immemorial ancestor worm? One of the 10 great ancient worms, the egg of an immemorial ancestor worm? As soon as the beautiful woman finished speaking, the entire auction house burst into an uproar. The 10 great ancient worms were all heaven-defying. It was said that an adult immemorial ancestor worm would feed on gods. Some of the strongest immemorial ancestor worms could even hunt giant gods and quasi-emperors. Chapter 1448. They even have an egg of an Archean insect. This auction house isn't simple at all. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. The first item was a good start, so all the items were precious treasures. One could tell how powerful the auction house was by looking at the first item. The leader of the Chaos Zone is behind this auction house. Of course it's not simple, said Poison Rose. Of course. Of course, it's not simple. Lin Feng's heart shook. It seems like you have a deep relationship with the leader of the Chaos Zone. Poison Rose smiled coldly. I have nothing to do with him. Liar! Lin Feng pursed his lips. Since the auction house is a subordinate of the Chaos Zone's leader, it won't be easy for him to plant his own people in the auction house. Since you were able to help me find out who the auctioneer was, it means that you have people in the upper echelons of the auction house. Even if they're not your people, they should be someone you know. The upper echelons of the auction house are important, so they should be trusted by the leader of the Chaos Zone. Since they dared to risk damaging the reputation of the auction house by telling you the identity of the auctioneer, your relationship with him is suspicious. Your Poison Rose mercenary group has been active in the Poison Fog Forest for a long time, and they've been safe and sound. There's a saying that goes, how can a stranger sleep in a bed? The leader of the Chaos Zone hasn't done anything to you yet, which means he doesn't want to do anything to you. Combining these 2 reasons, you must be related to the leader of the Chaos Zone. As for your relationship, it's easy to guess. You're either a relative or a woman of the leader of the Zone of Chaos. Since you're still a virgin, it means that you're not his woman, so you can only be a relative. The leader of the Zone of Chaos tolerated you setting up a mercenary group in his territory, killing people and robbing people, which means that you're not an ordinary relative. Therefore, you're most likely his daughter. When I mentioned the leader of the Zone of Chaos, your attitude was very cold, so I guess you don't have a good relationship with him. Poison Rose looked at Lin Feng as if he were a monster. The more she talked to Lin Feng, the more shocked she was. Lin Feng was young, strong, and proficient in formations. He was also wise and far-sighted. Often, he could understand the truth from just a few words. Poison Rose knocked Lin Feng's head. Lin Feng was speechless. What are you doing? I want to pry it open and see if you're the reincarnation of an old monster. Poison Rose said. Lin Feng said calmly. Unfortunately, I'm not the reincarnation of an old monster. The ancestor of all poison said. Looks like you really are the Chaos Region's ruler's daughter. Hurry up and take our prince to see his father-in-law. A dog's mouth cannot spit out ivory. Poison Rose kicked the ancestor of all poisons off the chair. Said Lin Feng. Rose, I'm going to see your father sooner or later. Let's do it tonight, said Lin Feng sincerely. Rose, I'm going to see your father sooner or later. Go die, Poison Rose said snappily. At this time, the price of the primordial ancestral insect egg had already risen to 10 million gold coins, but it showed no signs of stopping. Poison Rose said, It looks like the primordial ancestral insect egg's price could reach over 100 million gold coins, or even 300 million gold coins. She then muttered, But even if you bid for it, it won't be easy to cultivate, right? Lin Feng nodded. It's naturally very difficult to cultivate something like this, but if you can really cultivate it, it'll be heaven-defying. The ancestor of all poisons said, The primordial ancestral insect isn't that terrifying. The truly terrifying one is the Emperor Archaic. In the primordial era, I once saw an adult Emperor Archaic fight with an emperor in outer space. With a flap of his wings, the Emperor Archaic caused the universe to collapse. The emperor was heavily injured and had to flee miserably. Lin Feng and Poison Rose both gasped. Wasn't this too terrifying? Lin Feng found it hard to believe and said, That's an emperor. How could the Emperor Archaic injure an emperor? The ancestor of 10,000 poisons said, Even though emperors are rare, ever since the creation of the world, countless eras have passed, and many emperors have appeared. However, there have only been 4 or 5 immemorial emperor butterflies, which are naturally terrifying. If that's the case, then it's understandable, Lin Feng said. The ancestor of all poisons said, Sir, you can bid for the primordial ancestral insect and place the egg under the builder tree's sapling. The sapling's life force will nourish the egg, and there's a chance that the egg will hatch. It wasn't strange for an antique like the ancestor of all poisons to be able to see that there was a sapling in Lin Feng's dantian. Lin Feng asked, What's the chance of it hatching? About 1 in 10,000. The ancestor of all poisons said. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes and say, Isn't that a little too low? The ancestor of all poisons said, If someone else got it, the chances of it hatching would be 0. And primordial divine insect isn't something that can be hatched just because one wants to. The price of the primordial ancestral insect's egg soared, and it finally reached 350 million gold coins. Is there anyone bidding higher than 350 million? The auctioneer, Nangong Tianqing, asked with a smile. 350 million going once. 350 million going twice. 350 million going thrice. The gavel was about to fall. Suddenly, a voice rang out. 1 billion! In an instant, the entire auction house fell silent. Are you crazy? Poison Rose cried out in shock, looking at Lin Feng as if he was crazy. Lin Feng had actually raised the price from 350 million to 1 billion. Chapter 1449. Lin Feng's heart stirred, and he asked, Is there something wrong with the golden spots on the egg? The ancestor of 10,000 poisons said, Only the eggs of the imperial ancestral insects would have such spots, so this should be the egg of the imperial ancestral insects. Ordinary ancestral insects can only reach the quasi-emperor realm at most, but imperial ancestral insects can reach the great emperor realm if everything goes well. It's that amazing? Lin Feng was shocked. If it could evolve to the Great Emperor Realm, wouldn't that mean he would have a Great Emperor Realm pet in the future? Just the thought of it made him excited. The sapling of the Jianmu tree took root above the Danxi, emitting balls of dense life force. Lin Feng placed the egg under the sapling. At that moment, something strange happened. The sapling's roots extended and wrapped around the immemorial ancestral insect's egg. Streams of life force flowed into the ancestral insect egg. At the same time, the primordial ancestral insect egg also emitted a terrifying power that surged into the sapling of the builder tree. The sapling of the builder tree and the Archean ancestral insect egg formed an alternating cycle. Lin Feng smiled when he saw this. He hadn't expected such a cycle to form. It seemed like the egg also had the energy needed by the builder tree. It was a good thing to form such a cycle. It could greatly increase the chances of the egg hatching. Treasures were taken out for auction one after another. Lin Feng didn't care about most of the treasures, but when he did care about treasures, he would immediately bid a sky-high price and buy them. He mainly bought some precious array formation materials or some materials to refine divine weapons. These materials were rare, and even if he couldn't use them for the time being, he might be able to use them in the future. Moreover, even if he couldn't use them, one of his women might be able to use them to forge a natal treasure. Next up is a bottle of Spring of Life. The starting price is 10 million gold coins. The auctioneer Nangong Tianqing said with a smile. What? Spring of Life? That's some good stuff. It's said that it's an immortal liquid condensed from the tree of life. It can prolong one's life and bring the dead back to life. It's an otherworldly soul treasure. The appearance of the Spring of Life caused many people to exclaim in surprise. Many people made their moves and participated in the competition. The price of the Spring of Life quickly rose to a sky-high price of 2 billion. However, such a precious treasure was clearly far from reaching its limit. Many large powers continued to compete, and the price of the Spring of Life rose to 10 billion. After reaching 10 billion, many major forces began to withdraw from the competition one after another. About a dozen people were still bidding. At this time, Lin Feng shouted out a price. 20 billion. Many of the people who were still bidding had ugly expressions on their faces. If these people continued to participate in the bidding, the final price would probably reach around 15 billion. But now that Lin Feng had directly bid 20 billion, it showed that he was determined to win. Lin Feng didn't treat money as money, but they couldn't. Even the sons of domain lords couldn't do what Lin Feng did, casually throwing out tens of billions without batting an eye. Who is this person? How can he be so rich? He doesn't give anyone a chance to compete for anything. Someone just went to ask around about the people in the private room. It said that there are 3 people in total, and the leader is a young prince. But that's all. He's so rich. Could it be that he's a descendant of some hidden clan? He's too high profile. No matter how rich he is, he shouldn't be spending money like that. This is ancient city of chaos. Who knows how many people will pay attention to him? People will die for wealth, and birds will die for food. Many people will try to kill him. We don't even know if he'll be able to leave ancient city of chaos alive. Such a person must have a peerless expert protecting him. How could it be easy to kill him? Many ants can kill an elephant. Even if he has a peerless expert protecting him, he won't be able to deal with so many people surrounding him. Don't forget that this time, the soul-transforming fruits will definitely attract the attention of godly cultivators. If those godly cultivators attack him, he won't be able to escape. Many people in the auction hall whispered to each other. Many people were convinced that Lin Feng was going to die. In the end, the Spring of Life was sold for 20 billion. Very quickly, someone brought the Spring of Life over. I'm guessing that many people want to kill you and steal your treasures. You're too rich. Lin Feng said indifferently. So the ancestor of all poisons will have something to do now. The ancestor of 10,000 poisons said excitedly. It's best if some powerful people come. When the time comes, I'll show off my might and get rid of those blind bastards for the young master. I'll even be able to obtain their wealth. It'd be even better if a deity realm expert came. Deities are rich, and all of them are incredibly rich. Moreover, divine source is incredibly precious. When we kill them and devour their divine source, the young master's cultivation will definitely greatly increase. Poison Rose looked at the ancestor of all poisons helplessly. She then glanced at Lin Feng helplessly. Lin Feng and the ancestor of all poisons were a team. Even a god fire expert wouldn't be able to deal with them. If an ordinary god came, they might really be killed. Freaks! Poison Rose couldn't help but mutter to herself. Lin Feng came back to his senses and looked at the Spring of Life in his hand. It was a good thing. Their father was in charge of a region, and over the years, he had amassed countless riches. Right now, These sons of the region lords had received their father's support. Many of them were eager to fight for the divine transformation fruit. 1 billion! 2 billion! 3 billion! 3 billion! 5 billion! The competition for the divine transformation fruit was extremely fierce. The people who were the first to bid were only ordinary families. The top families and forces had yet to make a move. However, even if those ordinary families were to bid, the price would continue to rise. Soon, it reached 10 billion. However, the price showed no signs of stopping. It didn't take long for the price to reach 50 billion. After reaching this price, the ordinary families withdrew from the competition one after another. Only the great families and forces remained. The price of the divine transformation fruit continued to rise. Soon, it reached 68 billion. 70 billion! The ancestor of all poisons shouted. Poison Rose snapped. You're shouting such a high price. Do you have the money to buy it? The ancestor of all poisons curled his lips and said, So what if I don't have the money to buy it? In any case, I know that this price won't sell. I'm just shouting for the thrill. The ancestor of all poisons had a rather eccentric personality, and this kind of thing suited his style of doing things. The price of the divine transformation fruit quickly soared to 100 billion. At this point, many great families began to withdraw from the competition. When the price reached 200 billion, the children of the region lords joined the competition. Even the top families found it difficult to compete with the children of the region lords. After all, the children of the region lords had the region lords behind them. The region lords would definitely allocate a large amount of money for them to compete for the divine transformation fruit. A total of 8 children of the region lords came. The competition between the 8 of them was very intense. The price soared to 500 billion. This price was basically the limit of what the 8 children of the region lords could mobilize. The amount of money they had received from their fathers was about the same. Thus, it was difficult for them to determine a winner. However, the children of the region lords had their own connections and could raise a lot of money. The 2 auctioneers discussed for a moment and decided to stop the auction for half an hour to allow the children of the region lords to raise money. Although the children of the region lords couldn't raise a few hundred billion, they might be able to raise a few hundred billion. If there were no surprises, the children of the region lords would be able to raise more money. The divine transformation fruit would belong to them. You don't need to raise money. That's just wasting everyone's time. I bid 1 trillion for this divine transformation fruit. However, the sudden voice silenced the entire auction hall. One could hear a pin drop. 500 billion was already a sky-high price. Now someone had actually raised the price from 500 billion to 1 trillion. This price shocked countless people. The children of the region lords had gloomy expressions. It's him again. Many people murmured. Naturally, they recognized the owner of the voice. Brother, are you trying to snatch the divine transformation fruit from the 8 of us? Suddenly, one of the region lord's children spoke in a cold voice. Brother, if you withdraw, we'll be friends with you. What do you think? Said another of the region lord's children. Brother, when you're outside, you have to be tactful. The more friends you have, the more options you have. Said the third of the region lord's children. Then, the other children of the region lord's children began to talk at once. They wanted Lin Feng to withdraw from the auction. The children of the region lord's children would participate in the final auction. Although the auction house wanted to sell the fruit to Lin Feng because Lin Feng had bid a high price, the auction house didn't want to offend the children of the region lords. After all, the children of the region lords were supported by the other 8 region lords. Offending the children of the region lords was equivalent to offending the region lords themselves. Therefore, the 2 auctioneers didn't say anything. Instead, they let Lin Feng and the children of the region lords settle the matter themselves. Lin Feng curled his lips and said, I really don't know where you poor bastards get your confidence from. You want to threaten me? Why don't you take a piss and look at your own faces? If you have money, continue bidding. I'm afraid of accompanying you. If you don't have money, shut up or get lost. Don't get in my way. Hearing Lin Feng's arrogant words, the children of the region lord's children slammed the table next to them. Kid, who do you think you are? How dare you be so arrogant in front of us? Shouted the children of the region lords furiously. 8 pieces of trash, impudent. I don't even want to deal with trash like you, because you're not even qualified to carry my shoes. You're a bunch of poor bastards, and you're making a fuss here. Don't you feel ashamed? You've disgraced your father. Lin Feng curled his lips. You. The children of the region lord's children were so angry that they couldn't speak. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. They wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Very good, let's ride a donkey and read a songbook. The children of the region lord's children sneered and sat back down. They knew that this was the region lord's territory, so they shouldn't cause trouble. Chapter 1451. In the auction house's VIP lounge. The manager of the auction house was called Muronghi, and he had personally delivered the divine transformation fruit. Lin Feng had guessed that Poison Rose was the daughter of the Chaos Region's ruler. Since Poison Rose had such a deep connection with the auction house, Lin Feng guessed that Muronghi probably knew about his identity. Haha, Region Lord Lin, I've heard a lot about you. Muronghi cupped his fists. Lin Feng was rather surprised that Muronghi admitted that he knew about Lin Feng's identity so easily. Muronghi didn't seem like a scheming person, so Lin Feng had a much better impression of him. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "You're too polite, fellow Taoist Murong." Muronghi took out a white jade box and opened it. The divine transformation fruit was placed inside the white jade box. Muronghi said, "Region Lord Lin, if there are no problems with the divine transformation fruit, we can exchange it now." Lin Feng nodded and said, "I don't have enough gold coins on me, so I'm planning to use these cultivation spirit stones to exchange for it." "How many gold coins can one such cultivation spirit stone be exchanged for?" Lin Feng took out a top-grade spirit stone and gave it to Muronghi. Muronghi's eyes lit up when he saw the spirit stone. Resources were scarce in the great exiled world, and there were no spirit stones, so cultivators had to use pills to cultivate. However, pills had a lot of impurities, so they couldn't be compared to spirit stones. Spirit stones, which were rare and common in the Tianwu continent, were definitely precious treasures in the great exiled world. Muronghi said, "One spirit stone is roughly equivalent to 100,000 gold coins." All the items he had bought added up to about 11 million top-grade spirit stones. Lin Feng took out 11 million top-grade spirit stones and gave them to Muronghi. "I want these cultivation spirit stones too. Give me some points as well." Poison Rose couldn't take her eyes off the top-grade spirit stones, so she grabbed Lin Feng and said, "You're in a hurry. I'll exchange them for you when we get back," Lin Feng said. Poison Rose nodded her head. Her heart was filled with joy. She planned to exchange as many of these cultivation spirit stones as possible. "We can't stay here for long. We'll take our leave now." Lin Feng cupped his fists. "Take care, Region Lord Lin," Muronghi said with a smile as he personally escorted Lin Feng and the other two out of the auction house. "He's out," someone secretly transmitted his voice. Clearly, many people had their eyes on Lin Feng's group. In this world, there were too many people who were willing to risk their lives for money. Birds die in pursuit of food and men die in pursuit of wealth. This principle was applicable everywhere. It was even more applicable in the ancient city of chaos. When Lin Feng and the others arrived at a crossroad, the originally dense crowd on the street suddenly disappeared without a trace. Someone had set up a grand array here, trapping Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and Poison Rose within it. Swish, swish, swish. Then, a dense crowd of cultivators rushed over. There were more than 1,000 people. "Kill them!" someone shouted. Immediately after, attacks that blotted out the sky and covered the earth surged out and blasted towards Lin Feng and the other two. Lin Feng shook his head and said, "They're really willing to give up their lives for money." Du Zhu shouted loudly. "A group of small fries dares to jump out. They simply don't know what's good for them. Go to hell! Duzu waved his right hand, and poisonous gas rolled out. More than 1,000 cultivators were enveloped by the poison. Miserable screams rang out one after another. One cultivator after another fell from the sky. By the time they hit the ground, they were already dead. Duzu's poison was extremely terrifying. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to resist it at all. In the blink of an eye, more than 1,000 cultivators died miserably. Lin Feng tore apart the grand array and came out with Poison Rose and Duzu. However, as soon as they came out, attacks that blotted out the sky and covered the earth came crashing down. There were attacks from magic treasures and divine abilities. The children of the 8 region lords joined forces with many of their subordinates to attack Lin Feng. Brat, you dare to be arrogant in front of us? Only death awaits you! The children of the 8 region lords laughed sinisterly. You don't know what's good for you. Duzu sneered and spat out a mouthful of air at the people surrounding him. The poison rolled out. Everyone was enveloped. The Poison Realm's young master, Mu Jiuzhou, sneered. Using poison in front of me? You overestimate yourself. Mu Jiuzhou opened his mouth and inhaled, wanting to swallow all of Duzu's poison. However, as soon as he came in contact with Duzu's poison, his body began to rot, and he couldn't help but scream. At that moment, Mu Jiuzhou realized that the cultivator in front of him who used poison was definitely an extremely terrifying poison expert. He wasn't someone he could compare to. The subordinates of the 8 region lords' children screamed and fell from the sky. In a few breaths' time, they were poisoned to death. In fact, even the magical treasures that they had taken out had been corroded. Although the other 7 region lords' children didn't die, they were also poisoned and their bodies began to rot. Poison cultivator, are you from the Poison Realm? My father is the region lord of the Poison Realm. Senior, please spare my life since we're all experts from the Poison Realm. The Poison Realm's young master, Mu Jiuzhou, begged. Spare our lives! Our father is the region lord. Please spare us for our father's sake. The other region lords' children begged again and again. They knew that they had kicked an iron plate and were scared out of their wits. Where are your storage rings? Hand them over and I'll spare your lives. Lin Feng said with a faint smile. What? You want our storage rings? No, that's impossible. The region lords' children screamed. Although they were the region lords' children, the region lords had more than one son. If they lost their wealth, it would be a huge blow to them. Their fathers would probably be disappointed in them and focus on nurturing other outstanding sons. In any case, the region lords were looking for the most suitable successor. The survival of the fittest was very cruel. The competition for the position of the region lord's children was even crueler than the competition between the princes for the throne. If they made a mistake, they could be eliminated, and it would be very difficult for them to recover. It seems like you think that your lives are worth less than your wealth. Kill them all. Lin Feng waved his hand. He. Duzu laughed. The poison ancestor let out a strange laugh and was about to deal with the children of the domain lords. Spare our lives. Spare our lives. We're willing to give you our storage rings. The 8 region lords' children's faces were deathly pale. They didn't want to give up, but they had no other choice. They took out their storage rings one by one and gave them to Lin Feng. However, they were cursing Lin Feng in their hearts. Little bastard. You stole our storage rings. Just you wait. We'll gather some strong cultivators soon and they'll tear you to pieces. Lin Feng took the storage rings. The region lord's children were extremely wealthy. Each of them had 500 billion gold coins, so 8 of them were worth 4 trillion gold coins. Lin Feng had made a fortune this time. Get lost. Duzu cured the 8 region lords' children of their poison. He waved his sleeve and the 8 region lords' children were sent flying. Lin Feng didn't look at them again. He continued walking. Poison Rose and Duzu followed behind Lin Feng. These people are very troublesome to deal with. If we kill them, we'll offend the 8 region lords. Poison Rose said. Lin Feng smiled but didn't say anything. Du Zhu laughed strangely and said, "They've been poisoned by my poison for a long time. It's soundless, colorless, and odorless. They'll die in 2 hours. Then they'll become my slaves and obey my orders. How could they take revenge on you?" After pausing for a moment, Du Zhu laughed strangely and said, "The status of these 8 people in their father's heart will plummet. That way, they won't attract any attention. They're the most suitable slaves. In the future, if you want to annex other regions, these 8 people might be of great use." Poison Rose was not interested in annexing territory. She was more interested in the goo poison that the poison ancestor had mentioned. She excitedly said, "Teach me this goo poison technique." "Why should I?" Du Zhu pursed his lips and ran away. It was obvious that he didn't intend to teach her. "Don't go!" Poison Rose chased after him. Soon, Lin Feng left as well. In a nearby tea house, Mose Tianzuan and Jun Tiandi were sitting there, eerily watching Lin Feng leave. Wang Tianyi stood to the side, waiting on them. "How did this kid get a poison expert by his side? This is going to be troublesome," Mose Tianzuan said. Jun Tiandi said, "The poison region's master is the #1 poison expert, and he's extremely greedy. As long as there are enough benefits, we can ask him to deal with the poison expert. Then, we can work together to kill Lin Feng." "Excellent. That way, we'll be absolutely safe." Mose Tianzuan's eyes lit up. Jun Tianyi said, "We need Wang Tianyi to go to the poison region personally." "No problem. Wang Tianyi, go to the poison region and ask the poison region's master to come. Tell him that as long as he helps us kill Lin Feng, we'll agree to any conditions." Mose Tianzuan said. "Yes, I'll go now." Wang Tianyi quickly left and went to the poison region to ask the poison region's master to come. The Divine Tower of Darkness has already issued the Divine Tower of Darkness bounty for you. Today, we finally found you. Let's see how you'll die. A black-robed leader walked out. "Humph. I broke the restriction placed in my mind by the Divine Tower of Darkness. I've never felt so free. As long as you let me go, I'll tell you how to break the restriction. You'll also be free." "What do you think?" the green-robed cultivator said. "What? You broke the restriction? No wonder you were able to escape alive." Many people exclaimed. Whoosh! Right at this moment, Wang Zhongming seized the opportunity and shot off into the distance. He wanted to escape while the cultivators of the Divine Dark Tower were distracted. Chapter 1453. Wang Zhongming had escaped because he knew that no matter what he said, the Divine Tower of Darkness would not let him off. The Divine Tower of Darkness was too powerful, and not everyone wanted to pursue freedom. Many people had stayed in the Divine Tower of Darkness for many years and could not leave. Furthermore, could they survive if they left the Divine Tower of Darkness? Given the Divine Tower's power, any traitor would not have a good ending. Thus, Wang Zhongming knew this clearly. Those people would not betray the Divine Tower of Darkness for the sake of freedom. Thus, Wang Zhongming had only said those words to distract them and hope that he could find a way to escape. Wang Zhongming had indeed found such an opportunity, and he managed to break out of the encirclement. However, at that moment, the void split open, and a mysterious man stepped out. He struck Wang Zhongming with his palm. Bang! Wang Zhongming was sent flying by the palm, and his body fell to the ground. "Deputy Tower Master!" Wang Zhongming cried out in horror, his face pale. "Wang Zhongming! You are a disciple with great potential, and your future is limitless, but you chose to betray the Divine Tower of Darkness. Do you know that this is a crime punishable by death?" The Deputy Tower Master was called Guan Tianjin, and his voice was gloomy as he looked at Wang Zhongming coldly. This time, the Divine Tower of Darkness had even sent a Deputy Tower Master to capture Wang Zhongming. It was obvious that the Divine Tower of Darkness would not give up until they captured Wang Zhongming. Wang Zhongming said, "I just want freedom." "Freedom? Ha ha! What is freedom? Can freedom allow you to survive in this world? Guan Tianjin sneered. No, only strength can allow you to survive in this world. Without the protection of the divine Dark Tower, would you have been able to survive until now in this chaotic world? Now that you've grown up, you want freedom? Wang Zhongming did not say anything. He just lowered his head and clenched his fists. I used to think highly of your future, but you have disappointed me. Who bewitched you? Guan Tianjin asked coldly as he looked at Wang Zhongming. Wang Zhongming said, No one bewitched me. This is my own decision. Humph. Guan Tianjin snorted. Guan Tianjin snorted coldly and said, When someone's deep-rooted thoughts change, it's because of something that changed them. You are no exception. Wang Zhongming's expression fluctuated, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and said, That's right, my heart was changed by something. I can accept the fight for benefits and life and death battles, but I can't accept it. Capturing a 4 or 5-year-old girl in the Divine Dark Tower and letting her bleed every day is too cruel and heartless. Are you qualified to sympathize with others? Guan Tianjin sneered. Wang Zhongming said, But I have the right to choose to leave. Even if I die, I'll be able to breathe the air of the outside world. Only when I obtain freedom and distance myself from those evil people will I know how wonderful freedom is. Even if I can only live freely for one day, I won't regret it because I once experienced what a free life is like. This is a life that people are unwilling to let go of after experiencing it. This kind of life is the true life. Humph, you will spend the rest of your life in a boundless purgatory, living a life worse than death. Let's see if you regret your foolish actions. Guan Tianjin couldn't help but sneer. I'd rather die than be captured by you. Wang Zhongming raised his right hand and slapped his forehead. Guan Tianjin pointed his right hand. A ray of magic power shot out and entered Wang Zhongming's body. Wang Zhongming couldn't move at all. You want to die? How can I let you die so easily? Take him away. Guan Tianjin waved his hand. 2 cultivators from the Divine Tower of Darkness immediately walked towards Wang Zhongming. Divine Dark Tower, they should be eradicated, said Lin Feng. A cold voice sounded. Next, a young cultivator stepped forward. This person was Lin Feng, who had followed Wang Zhongming out of the city. Who are you? Guan Tianjin looked at Lin Feng gloomily, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Someone actually dared to say that the Divine Dark Tower should be eradicated. He was simply courting death. My surname is Lin, my name is Feng. Lin. Feng? Many people called out this name. Then, their expressions suddenly changed. Guan Tianjin exclaimed, You're the Dragon Gate region's region lord, Lin Feng? Yes. Lin Feng flicked his sleeves. Guan Tianjin felt that things were getting troublesome. He had heard of the region lord of the Dragon Gate region before. Although he was young, his cultivation was extremely high. He wasn't someone they could fight against. Perhaps only the head of the Divine Dark Tower could contend against him. Moreover, it was obvious that the region lord of the Dragon Gate region had a deep enmity with the Divine Dark Tower. As one of the 36 vice heads of the Divine Dark Tower, Guan Tianjin had access to many secrets. He couldn't remember when the Divine Dark Tower had offended Lin Feng. Since they hadn't offended Lin Feng, why would he have such a deep enmity with the Divine Dark Tower? This was what puzzled Guan Tianjin. Guan Tianjin said, Region Lord Lin, I don't think the Divine Dark Tower has any grudges with you, right? Lin Feng said, Little Yao Yao, who was captured by you, is my younger sister. Is this reason enough? Swoosh! Upon hearing Lin Feng's words, Guan Tianjin turned around and fled without a second thought. Let's go. The other cultivators of the Divine Dark Tower didn't dare to stay any longer. They quickly fled into the distance. They finally understood why the region lord of the Dragon Gate region, Lin Feng, was so hostile to the Divine Dark Tower. The Divine Dark Tower had captured his younger sister and used her blood to nurture the Divine Transformation Tree. How could he not be angry? I seal the world. Lin Feng took a step forward, and an icy aura emanated from his body. The cultivators of the Divine Dark Tower, who were fleeing in all directions, were sealed in ice. Guan Tianjin was shivering, and his body was frozen in midair. Lin Feng came to Guan Tianjin's side and used a soul-searching technique. He wanted to search through Guan Tianjin's soul and memories to find clues about the Divine Dark Tower. However, there was a restriction in Guan Tianjin's mind. When Lin Feng searched his soul, the restriction was triggered, and Guan Tianjin's soul was instantly destroyed. At that moment, Wang Zhongming, who was lying on the ground, said, "There is a restriction in these people's souls. You can't search for the secrets in their souls. If you want to know where the Divine Dark Tower is, I can take you there." Lin Feng took out heavenly fire and burned Guan Tianjin's corpse to ashes. Then, he came to Wang Zhongming's side and lifted him up. Then, he walked into the distance. After a few ups and downs, they disappeared without a trace. Bang, bang, bang! After Lin Feng left, the frozen bodies of the Divine Dark Tower cultivators instantly shattered. Hundreds of Divine Dark Tower cultivators died in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1454. When they returned to their residence, Lin Feng threw Wang Zhongming to the ground and looked at him. "Tell me, where is the Divine Dark Tower?" Wang Zhongming replied. "The Divine Dark Tower is in the Chaos Realm, but it's at 9 Phantom Mountain." "What kind of place is 9 Phantom Mountain?" Lin Feng asked curiously. Wang Zhongming said, "The 9 Netherworld Mountain is an extremely dangerous place in the Chaos Realm. Ferocious beasts run amok there, and it's covered with restrictions. It's filled with danger. The Divine Dark Tower has a small world here, which is one of the 3 main headquarters of the Divine Dark Tower. It was normal for a place like the Divine Dark Tower to have a few headquarters. They were probably worried that a strong enemy would find them one day, so that they wouldn't be wiped out." "Little Yao Yao is imprisoned here?" Lin Feng asked. Wang Zhongming nodded. "That's right. She's imprisoned here. I've committed a heinous crime. Once I rescue the little princess, I'll be at your disposal," Lin Feng replied. "I can't even thank you enough, so why would I punish you? If we can rescue little Yao Yao, the Dragon Gate region will provide you with shelter." "Thank you, Region Lord Lin!" Wang Zhongming cupped his fists excitedly. Although he was free now, he could die at any time under the pursuit of the Divine Dark Tower. If Lin Feng provided him with shelter, he could be reborn. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Wait here for a moment, I'll be back soon." "Yes." Wang Zhongming nodded and found a place to sit down. Lin Feng found Du Hua and freed her from the seal on her strength. She was free. "The Divine Dark Tower's headquarters is filled with danger. You should be careful, or you might lose your life," Poison Rose reminded him after hesitating for a moment. Although she didn't know why she said that, she still didn't know. Lin Feng smiled. "It's just the Divine Dark Tower. I can come and go as I please. There's nothing to be afraid of. Keep bragging." Poison Rose couldn't help but pout. Although Lin Feng was very strong, and he had an expert like Du Zhu following him, Lin Feng was still very strong. However, for an ancient power like the Divine Dark Tower, there were as many experts as there were clouds in the sky. Furthermore, they definitely had a foundation, and that foundation was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, if one were to sneak into the Divine Tower of Darkness, it would be fine if one was not discovered. However, once one was discovered, one would be in grave danger. Lin Feng left with Du Zhu and Wang Zhongming. 7 days later, they arrived at the 9th Underworld Mountain. Forests, basins, and abysses crisscrossed the 9th Underworld Mountain, covering an area of 300 miles. Although it wasn't particularly large, it was extremely dangerous. This place was shrouded in mist all year round. Even during the day, one could still see lonely souls and wild ghosts wandering around. It was truly an extremely terrifying place. When cultivators came here, they would feel their souls trembling. When ordinary people came here, they would be invaded by the baleful ghost chi and die instantly. Divine Dark Tower's minor world entrance must be heavily guarded. It should be very difficult to sneak in, right? Lin Feng asked. Wang Zhongming said. Let's not enter from the entrance. I know of a place where there's a crack in space. I came out from there. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. At night, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and Wang Zhongming arrived at a lake. They flew into the lake. It was obvious that the minor world where the Divine Dark Tower was located was connected to this lake. Furthermore, there was a crack in the connection. It's here. When they arrived above an island, Wang Zhongming suddenly spoke. Lin Feng could vaguely sense a weak space-time power. This was the crack that Wang Zhongming had mentioned. Whoosh! Wang Zhongming took the lead and flew upwards. Lin Feng and Du Zhu followed closely behind. After flying for about 100 meters, Lin Feng felt a space-time power wrap around him. His body quickly shrank before he was pulled into a crack in space. When Lin Feng reappeared, he found himself in a sinister and terrifying place. The baleful ghost chi was very strong here. As far as the eye could see, there were many graves scattered everywhere. Wang Zhongming said, This is the place where the ancestors of the Divine Dark Tower are buried, so basically, no one comes here. Perhaps that's why the Divine Dark Tower didn't notice a crack in space here. Before Wang Zhongming had even finished speaking, a terrifying evil spirit appeared around them. These malicious ghosts were different from ordinary spirits and ghosts. Their attacks were very powerful, and even life and death realm cultivators would have a hard time dealing with them. If it was a group of malicious ghosts, even rebirth realm cultivators would have to flee. It was no wonder that no one came here. If they did, they would be courting death. Great nourishment! Du Zhu let out a strange cry and opened his mouth to take a deep breath. In an instant, all the malicious ghosts were swallowed by Du Zhu. Then, the three of them quickly left. In the distance, Lin Feng saw a 7-story wooden building. That's the Divine Dark Tower. It's a powerful treasure in itself, and it has its own weapon spirit. The little princess is imprisoned in the leftmost room on the 5th floor, and there are experts guarding it, Wang Zhongming said. It's not easy to enter the Divine Dark Tower, said Lin Feng. Du Zhu said. That's easy. Lin Feng used the transformation technique and turned into the dead Guan Tianjin. Lin Feng said, I'll turn into Guan Tianjin now. Du Zhu, you'll turn into a guard. Cover your face. Since everyone in the Divine Dark Tower has their faces covered, no one will suspect you. The Divine Dark Tower was very similar to an assassin's organization. Their members were very careful and usually covered their faces to prevent outsiders from knowing what they looked like. Only the higher-ups knew what the ordinary Divine Dark Tower cultivators looked like. These ordinary Divine Dark Tower cultivators did not know each other's faces. This was for safety reasons and to prevent the portraits of the Divine Dark Tower cultivators from being leaked. After all, the Divine Dark Tower had many enemies. If their portraits were leaked, it would be much easier for their enemies to kill the Divine Dark Tower cultivators. If they did not know what they looked like, it would be too difficult to deal with the Divine Dark Tower cultivators. That's a good idea. The poison ancestor transformed into a guard with a shake of his body, and then used a rope to tie up Wang Zhongming. Lin Feng walked towards the Divine Dark Tower while Du Zhu held Wang Zhongming. Deputy House Master, you're back. The guards in front of the Divine Dark Tower hurried over to greet Guan Tianjin. When they saw him, naturally, they did not suspect that the Guan Tianjin in front of them was real. This was the headquarters of the Divine Dark Tower. Who could barge in here? Guan Tianjin nodded and said, I've already captured Wang Zhongming, the traitor. I'm going to lock him up. Tomorrow morning, I'll report to the leader. Deputy House Master, you've done a great service. We await your return. The group of people bowed to Guan Tianjin, that Lin Feng had transformed into reward. Lin Feng threw a storage bag to them. There were tens of thousands of gold coins in it. The guard commander smiled from ear to ear when he saw the gold coins. Hurry up and open the door. What are you waiting for? The guard commander said. Yes. Immediately, a few guards opened the door to the Divine Tower of Darkness. Lin Feng stepped inside, and Du Zhu followed closely behind him with Wang Zhongming in tow. The door then closed behind him. After entering the Divine Dark Tower, Lin Feng went straight to the 5th floor. Upon reaching the 5th floor, Lin Feng walked to the left and quickly saw 2 old men sitting cross-legged outside a room on the far left. Both of them were very powerful. They opened their eyes and saw Lin Feng as Guan Tianjin. The 2 of them stood up and bowed slightly. They then glanced at Wang Zhongming and smiled. Deputy House Master, you've done a great service by capturing Wang Zhongming. Lin Feng laughed and said, things went quite smoothly this time. Elders, you've worked hard to protect the little princess. I've obtained some good things in the ancient city of chaos. I'll give them to you. Lin Feng took out a spatial bottle and handed it to the 2 elders. The 2 of them inspected it with their divine senses and cried out in surprise. Are these cultivation stones? Lin Feng nodded. That's right. Cultivation stones are very beneficial to your cultivation. Thank you, Deputy House Master. The 2 of them hurriedly bowed. Lin Feng said, open the room's restrictions. I'll go and see how the little princess is doing. That's against the rules. You'll need 36 Deputy House Master's jade tablets or an order from the House Master to open it. The 2 of them hesitated. I was just saying. Since you're making things difficult for me, I'll take my leave. Lin Feng's expression sank slightly, and he turned to leave. The 2 elders had just received a lot of benefits from Lin Feng. Refusing Lin Feng was embarrassing, so they ground their teeth and said, Vice Leader, we can only take a look and then we'll leave. If the leader finds out, we won't be able to bear the consequences, said Lin Feng. Don't worry, I know the rules, Lin Feng said. The 2 of them nodded and opened the restrictions. Deputy House Master, please. The 2 of them led Lin Feng into the room. As soon as they entered, Lin Feng and Du Zhu attacked as fast as lightning. They each targeted an elder of the Divine Dark Tower and attacked them with their palms. Deputy House Master, you! The 2 elders cried out in alarm, but they didn't even have time to react before they were killed by Lin Feng and Du Zhu.